I've got bruised souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Count my wounds as in desert crumbs flow. I'm gonna turn all of my stones.
Rock bottom make a man and some pressure make a gemstone. Trying to put $1 to my name like Creflo. Niger boy, late to the game, it's in the blood flow. And I'm from the south, it's thick skin and tough bone. Big attitude through big lips with gusto. Trust no kings, that's why they tried to crush souls. But it's IGBO, when the dust blow, this old head be standing there. No silver, just gold. Crack no books on the hustle, I was born to grind. Yo, scared of your potential, I'm adorned with mine. 30 times around the sun, man, of course I shine. My legacy will not dwarf with time. And in my daughter's eyes, it's basic, I must not say quit. Every day sees a present like a Rob St. Nick. Walk a fine line between tenacious and patient. I can't slip, I'm fighting clocks and they can't win.
I've got bruised souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Count my wounds as in desert crumbs flow. I'm gonna turn all of my stones. I've got bruised souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Who that soldier in the mirror? Oh, oh. I'm gonna turn all of my stones.
Impeccably I flow, hardest raps you know, breaking status quo, reaping what I sow, artistry like Van Gogh. Get it from my mama, hip so thick that I need tempo. Personality, spicy body banging like a bongo. Cause black women been it since Timbuktu, since Pharaoh. Sponge rollers and hot combs, lips, cheeks and brow bones. If you ain't for the culture, then please stay out of my zone. These little dummy rappers could never grace my headphones. See, I'm from a place in space where ain't no storytelling, you just had to have been there. If you want the battle, ain't no problem, say where. I got so much experience, I can't even play fair. But I'ma keep evolving and growing and hurting feelings and showing you need endurance to go in. I got mileage on this pen, I've been busy cause I've been out here schooling all these kids. Took 3 decades to have this glow up that I did.
I've got bruised souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Count my wounds as in desert crumbs flow. I'm gonna turn all of my stones. I've got bruised souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Who that soldier in the mirror? Oh, oh. I'm gonna turn all of my stones. Turn all of my
you guys know, I know you guys were checking shoes last night to see if he was barefoot. Is that still the case? Is he barefoot? Because I know on Facebook somebody posted a picture of these could be his shoes, or is that so he is presumed to be barefoot at this point?
What I can say is that his mom says all of his shoes are accounted for at the house. I'm not going to say that he's barefoot.
All right.
Allegedly! Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Lady Freedom here coming at you with another raw narrative. Here's a brief disclaimer for tonight's show. Let's watch.
That's ignorant! Allegedly, that's ignorant! Ignorant.
Judgment, Arthur.
Chloe, you read my thoughts. You've got the shinin.
You mean shining?
Shh, you wanna get sued?
Judgment, Arthur.
You just use that shin of yours to call me and I'll come a running. But don't be reading my mind between 4 and 5. That's Willie's time.
Hey, yo, boss. I love it when he does that.
Let's watch.
Don't get me back to good bullshit.
Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Lady Freedom here coming at you with another raw narrative. And it's so good to see everyone today. Thank you all so much for being here. And I'm sorry I had to kind of push this up a little bit later than expected. I wanted to go earlier, but I was up because we have a new case out of Indiana, and I was trying to look up more information because it seems like 3 young ladies, young girls, have gone missing out of Indiana since the beginning of the year. So, we're 13 days in to 2026, and these girls are going missing. They're absolutely beautiful young ladies. One of the young ladies that I did share out. I made a video and I put it on TikTok, but the copyright is different on TikTok than it is on YouTube. So the one song that I put with with the one video didn't match. And so I was having some technical issues this morning. But I think we got it all figured out and, shared out as well. Um, so that's good, but I'm not sure about the other 2 girls. I still wanna do a little bit more research there. Haley Busby is, from Fishers, Indiana. She went missing or last seen on January 5th, 2026. So, definitely go check out my short. Some of these shorts do really, really well, and then some of them not so well. I don't know, but I'm gonna try to make a video. You know, Haley seems to have left with a pink duffel bag, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But it just seems like she might have decided to run away. She is 17 years old, so I know her dad is looking for her. I know her family wants to hear from her. So, um, like I said, we'll get into that a little bit. And thank you so much, Chuji, for being here. And guys, always viewer discretion advised, always a mature audience, even during the day. Sometimes I pop off like yesterday and, I might say the F bomb or, tell somebody that their balls are in their husband's purse. I mean, we just don't know what's going to go on over here. And also, um, if other creators allow for that in their chats and stuff, then that's fantastic for them, but just not over here, right? Not over here. And Veronica, good to see you. I'm glad we got you fixed up, Veronica. Thank you. Also, Little Miss Sharon, and thank you so much, Little Miss Sharon. Little Miss Sharon has been a dragon for 9 months. My goodness. Aw, thank you, Little Miss Sharon, so much. Whenever I see that, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's been 9 months. Or 10 months. Um, or even 5 or 6, it just seems like I haven't been up here that long. But time flies when you're having fun. And thank you, Little Miss Sharon, for hitting the like button. And also, good afternoon, Cece. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Cece. And let's see. I don't want to miss anyone. Hey, Sandy. Good to see you. Oh, good. She said, perfect timing. I just finished last night's live. Oh, good. I know. And I'm probably going to bombard you guys with content for a little while, but that's a good thing. I'll probably give it a rest on Sunday. I think is going to be the day that I just take off. But I took a couple days off just doing some research and that sort of thing. This last weekend, so I'm ready to go. And hey, Valley Gal, good to see you. So we have the gathering of voices coming up, and I'm hearing that Dolly has decided to maybe come for that. So that's really exciting, guys. Like I said, people don't realize their star power, right? And we're YouTubers. But there's a lot of people that would like to come out and meet Dolly. And if that brings people out to the gathering of voices, I think that's all positive. Um, like I said, I'm still kind of working on things. But I'll get you guys all the details too. Um, let's see. Oh, thank you, Mama. Thank you so much for gifting a Lady Freedom's Raw Narratives membership. If you got a membership from Mama, please say thank you and welcome to the Dragon Tribe. Oh, that's so cool. What a good way to start out the show. Thank you guys. And hey, Gina, good to see you. So good to see you. And our Valley Gal. Let's see. I don't want to miss anyone. Hey, Andrea, good to see you. Let's see here. Cool gamer, DJ, cool bro, guy. You guys are not allowed in here. You guys know that. Come on now. Quit trolling. I see you trolling. All right. And Holly S. Oh my goodness. Holly sent me a hilarious video yesterday. And I was dying laughing. And now when I see the intro, it reminds me of Holly's pets because they're so cute. Um, Aw, hey Mama Rissa, so good to see you. Thank you for being here. And let's see who else is here. We got little Miss Sharon with the dragons in the chat. Hey Denise Harris, good to see you. Oh well, hello Shadow and Jilly is here. Good to see you guys. Welcome in. Also, hashtag Chris Proudfoot, hashtag Katie Proudfoot. Where is Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers? Y'all know. And I think they do know, Denise. I do. I really, allegedly, in my opinion, I think they know. Right. And I know that's going to get panties in a twist. But here's the thing just everything, all the evidence points to the house, Katie, maybe not even the house. Maybe Sebastian didn't make it home. I know that's been kind of like a 50-50 theory, you know. One second, guys. Django gets excited. Give me a second. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Django just gets so excited. He has to like cry and get excited when Nate comes in the door. And Sasha, good to see you. Hey, Hope Floats, good to see you. Hey, Jane, thank you for coming in. And let's see here. Hey, Nani McPoppins, good to see ya. Good afternoon. Thank you for being here. Could you turn your sound down, please? Um, Sorry, guys. Super loud ringtone here. And as long as he doesn't lie and pretend he's gonna go like before. Oh no, Shadow, I know. Well, hey, if that tricks people to come out, no, I'm just kidding. That's terrible, Shadow. That's terrible of me. No, I think it's just such a good cause, for all the creators. Like I hope people come out. I know it's tough. I know it's kind of a, the beginning of the year, things are kind of getting going and everything like that. But yeah, I mean it would just be so nice to get together, even if everybody just does something. I was talking with Jen yesterday about, just different ideas. Definitely passing out flyers and raising awareness is a big thing that I want to do when I'm there. And of course, just kind of get to know the area a little bit better because I kind of got a good idea. I might try to go to BJ's this time and just check it out. I mean, I don't know. They're probably not going to want me to walk in their bowling alley and look around and take pictures or anything. But, I mean, I might go over there since I didn't last time. But I just kind of go with the flow as well. And, I think what is to be shall be, and I just kind of go with the flow. Last time I think the trip was very successful. I do want to go back to Stop 30. I want to go back to Stop 30 and show you guys some more over there. And I know that Silvers had went after we did. So that was really interesting to see like back in them woods. And I don't want to go back in them woods. Okay. So please don't expect me to do that. I'm hey dudes on the ground, right? Not boots on the ground. I do not pretend to be someone that I'm not. But I do think that there are some interesting areas that would be worth exploring a little bit and just showing you guys so you have a good feel of the area. And there's a couple of places that we were also talking about, Jen and I. So, our wheels are turning. I hope everyone's wheels are turning. I hope people are thinking about Sebastian. I know I made a silly title for today because I didn't know what to do. Topsy Turvy Tuesday, Chris's Pervy, maybe not, probably so. Um, it's just very odd to me. We watched Jonathan Wong's father. Um, and maybe there's culturally a difference, right? A bit. Um, there's honor involved, right? There's some pride and things like that. Why I don't think Jonathan's father would get up here and act a fool anyway, like Chris Proudfoot. That's just my opinion. But why would he come up and start acting like that, right? Why would he start all of this nonsense And why would he be upset and not join in? That's one thing that we watched last night in the clips that I showed of people gathering, right, for protest reasons, for justice, right, for their family members who had been unalived, murdered. I mean, I hate saying unalived. We'll just call it what it is. They could strike me or whatever they do. But people come together for those reasons, and for when people don't want to come together and fight for justice for especially for their children, I can't justify that. I will never reconcile that in my brain. I just won't, because when I see a child, it makes me want to fight for them, even when they're not my child, even when I don't know them, right? And I don't even look at even people under 21 as they're still kids. I was still a kid back then. I thought I was grown, but I wasn't, right? I was ill-equipped, but I was still, young, having a baby. So, um, it's really, really sad when we see these cases. It's even more tough when, the kids are like 17, 18, 19, right? Because it makes it harder. And we're learning more and more about even guardianship of individuals who are on the spectrum, which I think is very interesting. And, with Jonathan's father, it was hard for him to get the type of help that, in terms of getting into Jonathan's electronics, things like that are things that we just don't think about, right? You never think you're going to be in a situation like that. And especially, parents with children on the spectrum typically tend to be kind of a helicopter parent, some of them. Everybody has a different parenting style. But I will say, it's just something to think about, the long term. But you also want to leave the kids, or your kids. Our kids are always our kids, no matter how big they get, um, with the dignity, right, and the choice to do with what they want to do. And we saw that in Devlin Tate's case, right? I mean, there was back and forth. um Devlin, I'm grown, his family, like, yeah, you're grown, but you're getting in trouble, things like that. So just a lot of elements to discuss in these cases. So um Sandy, she was saying that she's not tough, and she was making fun of the fact that she's not tough, right? That she's just this little Southern belle. No, that's my best impression. I'll tell you, there's this lady on YouTube, and I don't know, maybe she's on TikTok too, but I found her one day when I was scrolling through, and boy, is she funny. And she pretends like she's making, or she makes food, in some of the videos. Sometimes she's working at the Waffle House. It's just, a parody, but it's truly hilarious. And she's got like this fake cigarette, and she's like ashing in the food, and it's hilarious to me. I don't know. I shared one of her videos that really cracked me up. So I hope you guys got a chance to watch it. Because she's just funny, but she'd be like, listen here, Shug, and she just, so I'm kind of polishing up on my Katie Southern Belle accent because of that lovely lady. Good to see you, Mama Marissa. Thanks for being here. Dolly would be the last reason I would go. Sorry. Mama Marissa, that's too funny. That is too funny. Hold on a second. I'm getting sign language. Hold on. It's important. All righty. Uh, everybody's a celebrity. Not Dolly. I'm just hearing Nate's gonna be on the news or something. I don't know. I don't know. I'm sorry, guys. That was rude. Jeez Louise. Um, Sasha says heads on a swivel in the Roadhouse video. Why? KP can't stop looking around. I wonder who she was worried about seeing at her her neighbor maybe. You know, Katie's head swivel, right, is weird. The looking around, the hand in the air, you know, or the her hand up, right, in the air is strange. It's strange, isn't it? Like it's like she's being devious or something, you know? She's just being devious. And I don't want to say mysterious because I don't want to give her that much credit. I think she's a dum dum. I'm sorry. I can't with Katie. She's very it's very frustrating to me, like I said, as a mother, um, that she would get up and make fun of people who are trying to find her son, for one, and for two, the audacity, the arrogance, the entitlement, it's all too much for me. We might as well just give her a crown and you know, set her on a pedestal. That's what they do at the hate channels. They polish that turd all day. Um, Denise says, I believe Katie Proudfoot undid Sebastian Wayne, Drake Rogers, and Chris Proudfoot helped, along with Terry and Kathy Stanky Stinky Socks, and they helped. You know, I just don't think, and I've always said that, you know, and I haven't changed my mind now, you know, things change. Um, Ideas change as we get new information, we might change our minds, right? But I've always kind of said with Katie, logistically, she had to have help, right? And then we saw the lights video, right? In, you know, Mob Crew didn't put that out. That was Nick Barris, right? And Mob still uses that video. And what that video allegedly is, right? Because I don't know for sure. But allegedly that is a video that someone was shown the original and they took a video from their cell phone. That's why it's shaky and it's a little different. Um, but to the best of my understanding, that's how that came about, right? And then they gave it to Nick Barris, and then Nick Barris put it out. And then Craddock said it's of no evidentiary value, right? And then you have, um, you know, TBI that and they come out and say, "Oh yeah, that's nothing." You know, we were told it was a trash truck. We were told it was um, lights coming from Honeysuckle Lane, whatever street road. I don't know. Um, Either way, one of those little side roads over there. And I believe it's, you know, Katie coming out with a flashlight, meeting the light source, meeting the silver sedan. I believe, and then, you know, the neighbors are giving Mob Crew the footage of their cams, you know, and I think, yeah, this is the I still have it. Okay, so here, yeah, here's a good one though too. So, you know, time stamped, right? And the car in the neighborhood. And then this is a good one too, where you could see again, time, you know, an actual timestamp from the video, the car going down, or up, Kellen, whichever one, um, and coming back around because there's little cul-de-sacs in the Victoria Place subdivision where Sebastian's home is located, or the Proudfoot residence is located. So really, that is something tangible that I can see. And of course, Katie is the last one in the house, right, in the morning. You know, none of his shoes are missing. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so she's just a hot mess. She's driving around the neighborhood with her windows rolled up, by the way. She drives over to the school. She drives God only knows where. It took her 38 minutes to report Sebastian, right? I mean, how could you not look for Sebastian? Look at him. And that's your son, Katie. Like, I just don't get it. I will never be able to do much with that. I'll never be able to get down with that, on board with that, none of that, you know? Um, Somewhat CC where I live, there's a pilot project. Oh, I'm so proud of you, Andrea. That's so cool. That is so cool. I bet you're enjoying like learning all of that new info, and you could share it with us too. So that's fun. I know like Canadian law is going to be a little bit different, but I just still enjoy just listening about it. And a lot of these cases have gotten a lot of traction out of Canada, right? Jack and Lily's case, um, and also little Claire Bell. I always think about her and pray for her and her dad, and I hope she's doing well. You know, Yeah, like going to his last known stops that day. Yeah, yeah, Shadow, 'cause I mean, I kinda wanna, like, do something where I kinda go in their I mean, obviously, I'm not gonna stop over at what's her face's house, Neville's house or whatever, but I mean, just kind of and I'm not gonna, like, make spaghetti pancakes or anything, but I mean, just to kinda get a good idea, I would really like to go on the day of Sebastian's disappearance, right? The 2-year mark. And I would really like to go from the Texas Roadhouse, even if I don't eat there. I just, you know, would like to go from there to Katie and Chris's house, like that at that time frame, like exact time, and make that trip, right? And I'm sure there's a lot of people that would want to do that, just to see exactly how long it would take. Because typically, I mean, it doesn't take more than 15 minutes, even on a Sunday. Sundays are busy in Hendersonville, right? A lot of smaller towns are that way, though. People go to church. I mean, they have those great big churches. The one is right by Chris and Katie, Long Hollow Pike, right? So, or Long Hollow Church, excuse me. That's the road of Long Hollow Pike. Um, but so people are in church, they're getting out of church, they're going to get something to eat, they're maybe people are shopping, whatever they're doing. It's just very busy, until the nighttime around 8, 9 o'clock. I'm sure the traffic stops and slows down and stuff like that. So it'd be interesting to make that drive, leave exactly at the time they did, right? And then just see what we come up with, just kind of like a little trial. I know JLR did it. He did the 3 different routes to get from Texas Roadhouse to the Proudfoot residence, and that was very early on. I mean, that was like right away. I want to say March was when he did that. And that gave us a very good indication of, how she would have gone. But, when I was there last with Jen and she brought me over to Stop 30 Road, that was a very again, good spot to where you could pull in, and especially if it's dark, not many people are going to notice. And once you pull in there, you can hide yourself with all the trees and kind of the wooded area that's back in there. So I think that's a spot of interest if I'm working the theory that Sebastian didn't make it home and there was some sort of a handoff. And of course, there's the gas station that Hindsight had talked about, and then Mr. and Mrs. E had gone over there and kind of taken a look around and filmed for the purpose of checking the area out. I just always am baffled about the cameras and about the lack of information on the cameras in these cases. I mean, just across the board. Sebastian's case, obviously, but with Sebastian's case, we see him getting in the car with Katie at the Texas Roadhouse. We see him getting into her Infinity SUV, and they drive away, right? And then no one can say whether he made it home or not because it's just too dark and Katie goes straight into her garage, and you can't see. So who is she looking for? The green hoodie? Maybe she's looking for green hoodie, but green hoodie just waited outside and bum rushed her instead. Well, Sasha, I'm still thinking about the guy in the yellow jacket. And I still do have that picture here. And I know it's difficult to see it. But I have, several videos where I took the video that Dog the Bounty Hunter posted, and then I zoomed in on this camera, or excuse me, on the cell phone, and you can see the picture come into focus. If I slow it down all the way, you can just see it kind of come into focus. And yes, it's a little bit darker and, pixelated or whatever the terminology would be, but you can definitely see that the shirt is Grogu, Baby Yoda, in my opinion. And you can see that the person in the photo looks like a young boy, like Sebastian. Um, so it's very odd, and I've never forgotten about that or the green hoodie, you know? I find it to be interesting, again with the area, and like I said, I have mixed feelings about it. It's a beautiful area. It's really cute. If you were just to go there not knowing any of this, you would think about maybe purchasing a home in the area. They have shopping, they have, events, right? Like Pig Fest and different things that they hold out at that at that big park. We went and saw a soccer game while we were, while I was there. Like there's just a lot of really cool, community organized events and things like that. So I mean, if I was in real estate in the area, I would recommend the area. I mean, I just know I would. I'd be like, "Oh, this house is really cute. You want to go see this one?" I mean, so it's mixed for me. But when I hear that someone in the Proudfoot family was involved in a shootout at a gas station and all of a sudden the footage just goes poof, and there's no footage to show for um, anything at trial, and law enforcement's not held accountable, right? How much did that cost to make that disappear? How much did it cost to make Sebastian disappear? Footage is one thing, but a whole child? Yeah, that there's a lot of weird shit going on over there, okay? So again, mixed emotions, mixed reviews, and I can't help it, you know? I can't help it. That's just the way I see it. And I'm always just going to be honest with my, analysis of my opinion, right? It's just my opinion. But from what I've witnessed, right, just looking around the area. I mean, I kept telling Jen that I'm like, gosh, this is a cute little area. My goodness, it's a cute, that's a cute house. Or, I don't like the cookie cutter subdivisions. I like the areas where there's one house. I think it gives the area character. One house may look this way. You might have another house that looks, totally different. Everybody has their own little, the different houses and things. That's the kind of thing I like. I don't like the cookie cutter houses. And, there's a lot of that in the area where there's some unique structures and just a lot, to see and do in the area. So, and when you have little kids, you look at the schools. Even Beach High School seems to have great programs and things like that. So please don't stir that coffee right here because it's going to be really loud in their ears. So I've learned so much, Mom Marissa, in Sebastian's case too, and in Devlin's case. And as we go along, it's funny how we see these themes in true crime. Um, it's amazing, really. Just the kind of, if the little things that are so similar or exactly alike from case to case. Um, so Chuchi says I'm definitely a helicopter mom. I don't even think that's a bad thing these days. I mean, I don't know. Like we were talking about last night with the air tags and putting those in the kids' shoes and things like that. Um, or just tagging your kid, air tagging the kids. And it's like, um, if I thought about that when my daughter was little, I think I would probably have, questioned myself. But these days, I don't know. And maybe I was naive and silly, not to want to do something like that. But I mean, yeah, I mean, and especially if your kiddo has a tendency to, as Mr. Proudfoot would say, wonder, you know, air tag that kid. No, I'm just kidding. But you know, I would think about it. I would do it, and I would be shameless. I would do it for sure because you know you want your kids to be safe and you don't want nothing bad to happen to them ever. Um, yeah, yeah, the POA, yeah, and Shadow, there's so many different, you know, avenues and ways to do that. Hey, Witchy Mama. Sasha says at the time, a pickle bag, the ditch behind the common area, and second generation Danny Guy was being discussed. So it's interesting that they hit the brakes with Bullhorn Betty, uh, probably because of the William guy. Thank you. I don't know why I want to call him Christopher Guy, but that's his middle name. Thank you, William. I couldn't think of it, Sasha. I appreciate that. That guy's a freaking weirdo. First of all, he's an RSO. He likes to torture or hurt animals, which is disgusting and creepy and a precursor for a whole host of other issues, and depravity and you know, just demented, twisted. I mean, you name it. The pickle bag was a very hot button issue, Sasha, and you know, I appreciate you bringing that up because in the picture of the lights video, right? It appears that someone is being carried in that video, right? And, or excuse me, in that photo that came from a video, rather, it's a still shot. And, I mean, they went bonkers. They like lost their freaking minds over it. So why would we look the other direction? Why wouldn't that make us get the magnifying glass out, right? And really examine, put them under a microscope, right? Act like they're in a petri dish because when they get upset about something like that, that's a big red flag. I mean, yeah, what was said the other night on Queen Bee was disgusting. I mean, but it was nowhere near the level of hate that came about with the lights video still shot photo. Nowhere near, you know, and don't get me wrong, I mean any amount of hate is disgusting and horrible. Um but with that being said, I think we need to continue on with that theory because I think that theory is the most solid and that's what, you know, razzed them the most. That's what got them really, you know, upset. But yeah, I mean, you know, that William guy again got in a whole shootout, and I know it was kind of boring. I read all of the paperwork, right? And they're going back with case precedent, and his lawyer is going, you know, back and forth, and the court is finding precedents in other cases and saying no, this is what happened here, or yes, you're correct. You know, it was a kind of a back and forth. But the big main takeaway in all of that tedious, boring paperwork was that William Guy was in a shootout at a gas station where children could have been, old women could have been, you know, a vet could have been pumping gas over there. Um, Decent, honest, you know, innocent people. And this guy just gets to walk free because he's part of the Guy clan, right? Second generation. Like that's the things that, you know, when people are like, "Oh, Lady Freedom, he doesn't have that much power," that's where I kind of like reel myself back in and just remember that. Remember that there is footage from a gas station shootout that was just disappeared and nobody cared, right? It was like, yeah, you know, we know what happens here, right? And that's the good old boy system. That's the good old boys system that continues to allow for corruption and you know, for innocent people to get hurt and no consequences to that. If they're willing to do something like that for that family, they'd be willing to take a child who maybe they don't think deserves to be here for whatever depraved, sick, twisted, demented reason. Yeah, I think it's completely possible, Sasha. And I think them going nuts over that video tells us all we need to know, right? Um, the fact that they're allowed to continue on with their crap on YouTube is amazing to me, you know? So, yeah, YouTube is different different. It's funny what passes for terms and service. I actually heard that the Proudfoot interview is not on anymore. And because I was looking into the other case, I didn't get a chance to do a whole lot of editing on that, which I will continue to do that for tonight. Um, so, oh, I see. Was there something? Yeah. Oh, yeah. We have to say like Schnurder. Oh, red rum or what is it? Schmurder. I called it Schnurder. Wow. Um, yeah, we have to kind of be creative. We have to be creative in the chat. Mama Marissa says, Lady, I've been watching her for a long time. I love her. I know, guys, there's so many good creators out there. Hey, Kim, good to see ya. Hey, Orb. It's all suspicious. It's all suspicious. Good to see you guys. Thank you, Mama, for gifting a membership again. You guys are so awesome. We're gonna be doing that trivia. Oh, excuse me, I hit a sneeze. We're gonna be doing that trivia too. Towards the end of the month. I'm gonna be working with Hey Jude on it. We'll get some good questions in there. It'll be fun. I think one of the categories is gonna be The Office, which I think that'll be fun. We'll see who wins that one. Scranton is like really thinking that she's got it in the bag, so it'll be fun. Um, Oh, the Ohio murder investigation. You know who else's case, Laura? Good to see you, hon, and thanks for being here. I was watching RJ, little RJ's case, and oh my gosh, you guys, I was in tears. That little boy, he took off from a Quality Inn, I believe it was. Um, and I'd like to show a couple of news clips of that. This is a case out of Oklahoma, and this little boy was being um, abused horribly by his mother and his stepfather. His stepfather tried to take his own life, which I don't feel bad about at all. It's kind of funny to me, because he was charged, right? What a little coward he is, you know? And Nani McPoppin says, I still have questions about KP's friend Lori, coincidentally being there when Sebastian disappeared, especially if it had been years since they had seen each other. Lori is definitely a person of interest because of that, Nani. I think so. I absolutely think that there's something more to Lori, because how did she get back to Katie's house, right? Quicker than Seth did. Um, Lori apparently lives about 4.5 hours away. I think I said 6 before, but I believe it's more like 4.5 hours away from Katie's. So, well, Amy, you make yourself look stupid by coming into a chat where you're not welcome. Go find someplace else to go. Maybe play in the street. I know, Nate. Don't look at me like that. You have no idea what she just said to me in the chat. I'm not the mean one. Uh, I'm getting a side eye over here. Damn, that was mean. um, watch out for the trolls, guys. They're gonna be out heavy, especially because they they can't bring their asses out of their houses long enough to save their own lives, let alone, to go and stand up for a child who's missing and actually show their friggin' face around town, right? They're cowards, so they're going to hide behind their little keyboards. And that's another thing, that DJ Coolbro kid, guys, that guy's not welcome up in here. None of those little young people that are bebopping around over at the other channels are welcome in here. I don't need a membership that badly, right? I mean, and then stalking people and stuff like that. A good mother will never understand she's a poor excuse for a mother. I mean, peace, love, and Jeeps. That's what I'm saying. I mean, they just don't get it, right? They don't even get that they have to clean their fucking toilets, right? So why would we expect them to get that? They just don't get it. They're like dense, you know? And it's sad because these people have children and some of them have multiple children, right? And they don't care, you know? Didn't SF say that the flashlight was a guy taking his bins out? Yeah, he did. He tried to pass it off. Little Miss Sharon, great point. Yeah, and now he's, putting out all of these documents. Oh, we did a search and we did this back in April. Like there's all of this stuff. I need to look a little bit more into it. But long story short, if people are, all of a sudden breaking news, there was a search, remains found. Make sure you look at the dates on that, guys, because the minute I saw that was back in April, I was like, oh, well, that's a dud, right? Like they get those results back quickly. If they send them off to the lab, it might take a couple of weeks if it's not priority. And yes, the labs and stuff get backed up. I get it. But no, they're going to find it. They're going to find out who that person is very quickly. So they're not fooling anybody by doing any of this. This is all tactics to get clicks and views, to get more people to come to the channel, right? And for what? You lose credibility with your audience when you do stupid things like that. In my opinion, I know some people are diehard and they'll still follow and they'll still believe everything they hear from, a particular creator. But I would be very leery of that. I really would be. Um, Always check the dates, always check the timestamps. There are certain things on documents that we need to look for. The government seal, right? Um, you know, Gosh, I could go on and on, but again, I'm not trying to offend anyone or upset anyone. It's just my opinion, and it's just something that I would never do. I would just never do that. Oh, well, here's a heavily redacted, by my standards, redacted form. You guys know I don't redact shit. I put it out there. If you're proud enough to put it on Facebook, you're proud enough to put it over here, right? There's your attention that you were seeking. I pray for them all well. What a tough little girl. Yeah. Oh, and Sandy, I appreciate that. Prayers are needed and necessary. It looked like Katie's SUV or one like it. Yeah. Well, I mean, the one that was sitting right next to her in the parking lot looked a lot like hers too. I was wondering if there was some fuckery going on with that. And the Texas Roadhouse is just a strange video. And that's why they never wanted it released out to us because they knew people would be side eyeing it and they would be like, what is this? Anybody with, critical thinking skills and, anybody that would take the time to examine it. I mean, but either way, we see Katie come into the restaurant with Sebastian. Sebastian is following her like a good kid would, right? He's attentive to his mom. He's watching everything she does. You can tell that he takes his cues from her. And then, he points to the game. He asks if he can play it. And she just grabs the menus and, flings one over to him over the table, right? That was the first red flag that everybody, I think, saw, right? We noticed Sebastian walking on his tiptoes, right? Which would have been a very good video just to show that little bit when Sebastian got out of the vehicle, right? He's covering his ears because, like I said, the Texas Roadhouse has speakers all on the outside of the restaurant and it's very loud. And then you also have people that are kind of hanging out outside the restaurant, either waiting for a table or having a smoke or picking up food. I mean, there's a lot going on, especially on a Sunday. Oh, that place is packed on a Sunday, but again, church, all of that. Um, Sasha says, and boom, Sebastian is gone at 3:47, and so 3:06 to 3:47, and that's what Bullhorn wanted to do. Go to the common area to the retention pond and basically follow the dog. And KP went insane, nuts. Right, exactly. Well, and they don't want. I mean, I was even wondering last night if I mean they don't own the ditch. I don't care what they say. An easement, all that is, that just means that that's a way to get through, right? And then in the paperwork, in the deeds, that's where the property lines are established. So, I mean, I just don't see how they could say that that ditch belongs to any one of those houses. It doesn't. So if I was to walk my happy little ass and my hey dudes down that ditch, I don't see how anybody could get me for trespassing or any of that. Right? They just want to strong arm and bully you out of the neighborhood, which it's happened to several creators and it happened to me. Right? I just turned my camera off because I was trying to be respectful of that lady, even though she was being a psycho. Right? Very creepy. What does she have in it? Right? And I even said, ma'am, I'm trying to, film this ditch because I don't know. I mean, guys, if that was rushing and there was water rushing down, somebody could have fit into that hole. Not the smaller one on the side, but the main one that everything leads to. It's a great big hole. Let's not forget that Jen and Jeff were telling me about, and while they're taking me through the neighborhood in the construction area, that there was huge gaping holes in there. Huge gaping holes, that say Sebastian walked out of the house, which we know he didn't because there's no proof of that. But he could have fallen into one of those holes, or somebody could have just easily put him in there. I'm sorry, you know, just for the conversation's sake. But for me to believe that, like, they went 20 minutes later, no, I think they took Sebastian during the 3 a.m. lights or whatever, time that was. We still don't know. And I think that they got the hell out of the neighborhood, right? They're not sticking around over there. This is not, an area um without activity, right? It's not like it's like, back off the beaten path or anything. It's right there off the street. I mean, right off the main Long Hollow Pike. So I can't get down with that. I won't get down with that. Diana Bond says that is a great point, and she's supposedly there with him, and no one has answered that question as of yet, in my opinion. Yeah, Diana, and there's a lot of unanswered questions. There's a lot of unanswered questions. So, Chuchi, Chuchi says to the trolls, "This is a no dark triad channel." Exit left and then take it right down the hall to the playground. It's that way. Oh my gosh, Chuchi, that's funny. Oh my goodness. And I like to be welcoming, guys, but I learned you can't be that way on these streets. You can't be nice and welcoming. People don't respond well to that. They want conflict. They're mad. They get on their phone. I'm going to go piss somebody off today, right? I'm going to make them as pissed as I am. Well, no, thank you. I would rather you not do that. Was the dog doing the left, or excuse me, was the dog doing the search legit? Anyone know BHB was speaking of the dog? IML, that is so hazy to me with the dogs. Like, I know there were several dogs, obviously that were brought in. To the best of my knowledge, none of them were cadaver dogs because they were looking for Sebastian, as Eric Craddock would say, operating under the assumption that he just walked off, right? And so they were looking for a live person, right? They were using seeking technology and everything like that. So obviously, and not to get too into it, but I mean, if you're looking for a person, there's a heat signature. If somebody's not with us anymore, there's no heat signature, right? you can see a form or whatever. Um, but it's not like you're going to get like any type of a heat signature from someone who's not with us anymore. Period, point blank. That's just the way it is. I'm not going to argue back about it. Um, Sasha says, walk from the back area on the sidewalk and take the ditch and then go down through the woods to the other retention pond and up the ridge line through the cemetery. Start at 310 and then oh, see, I don't want to go there in the dark. I just don't want to go there in the dark. I know that Mob had asked if the E's had footage of the cemetery in the dark, and I was just thinking to myself, I bet you that's a hard no. Um, you know. Aw, Holly, I just I love your avatar. How cute. Oh my goodness. Um, I thought there was or I thought it was so odd in the one interview Lori gave when she mentioned being surprised when she found Kay and C got married. If she was such a close friend, why didn't she know? Yeah, Nani, I don't know. I don't know. And Katie just seems to use people to her advantage, right? Like Katie's not the type of person that you're friends with because she you like her and she likes you and you guys both have similar interests. Katie's the kind of person that just uses people for whatever she can get out of them. She's a terrible little climber in my opinion. She's one of those people that will step on you to get to the top, right? That's Katie. That's how she is. She's proven herself to be that way anyway in the time frame that I've been, you know, examining her and watching her and looking at the way that she acts. Um, you know, she thinks she's better than everybody else. She thinks her shit doesn't stink. Here to tell her it does. Smells like boo boo, baby, just like everybody else's. I still believe Yellowcoat is involved. I saw Sebastian's pic on his phone. I know, Mama, and that's the one thing I can't get over. It's like something was going on that night. Either, I always wondered too, and I'm glad you said that. Thank you. I mean, I've always wondered too if there was something that was supposed to happen and then it didn't, right? Like I don't know. I mean, Katie grew a conscience, but I don't think that's it. I think something just didn't go as planned, and then the green hoodie was like, "Okay, get away from me," and she was doing that backup hand motion at Katie. So something was going on. There was some sort of a commotion. Um, it's just all weird. And I do think that Sebastian's phone ended up on the Yellow Jacket's phone because Katie sent it to him. I mean that's just really quick and she could have just sent it right to him. Even though she said she sent it to Chris, there's no proof of that, right? But Chris is talking about how he's going to release all these text messages and I'm like, "Okay, where are they?" Still haven't released them, right? Give them to your friend Clue, let her release them, right? Release whatever the hell you got to release. I mean, I don't get what the threat is, You're not scaring me. I wasn't involved in that, you know? And you got to watch what you say to people here because they can screenshot it and put it up and show everybody. So if you don't want to, you know, look like a jerk, don't say jerky things. Don't be a jerk, otherwise it's going to come back to bite you. I don't know what to say, you know? Everybody says things that they don't mean from time to time. Everybody misspeaks on things. But I'm not going to be the one worried about anything I've ever said or did because I'm not doing any dirt. But if people were doing dirt, then, and we all know where those text messages in that thread, that private thread came from. It came from Terry Lynn. She's the biggest troll on YouTube. So, that's his source, right? And that was what it was designed to do. She got in with the people and made them trust her, and that's exactly what that group does, right? And she's got people all over the internet. One of our viewers just sent me a live to watch, and I'm like, "Okay, yep, that's all of Terry Lynn's group." Right? I know all of them. I could pick them all out, right? And don't talk bad about Terry Lynn. Well, where is she? Right? Oh, I forgot. She's behind the scenes. She's too busy sharing all the shit that she pulled off of people who trusted her. But that's what they do. I mean, this is years and years and years of this shit, you know? So it's really disgusting, you know? Um, and quite frankly, I look at them like the pieces of shit they are, you know, and it doesn't affect me. Sure, it did in the beginning because I trusted her too. I trusted other people in that group. Not anymore. There is no love lost. None whatsoever. So they're shitheads. And they think that nobody's gonna ever go real life on them. They're sadly mistaken. Karma is a bitch, and she comes around when she sees fit. The top of the cemetery, it's 3:47, and remember to wait in the line for about 10 minutes or 15 because there's some form of activity occurring as he emerges from the retention area. But you know, Sasha, I thought they searched all of those ponds. Like I know there's like excuse me, like a rectangular one, a triangular one, and then I want to say one's more of like a circle. But I thought all of those areas had been searched in the beginning. So that's why, because there is a pond right behind that columbrium or columbarium, right? There's a pond directly, you know, it kind of overlooks the pond. Um, you know, somewhat of a, you know, kind of a serene place if you're visiting a loved one who's passed. Um, yeah, I'm just not convinced, especially with the results that were given yesterday. You know, Sebastian's not in the cemetery, in my opinion. You know, and everybody's entitled to think what they want to think. You know, I think, um, you know, we're either dealing with people who have enough smarts to cover their asses, which I think that they at least have that, or we're not, right? So, you know, why would they stay at the scene of the crime longer than they have to? That's a huge risk that they're taking. Yeah, I just don't see that, you know? And I mean, I could be very wrong, but I think you know, things got overdone with that, you know, and we have to remember too, there are cameras at the high school. And so that's how we know that Katie was driving around that morning, right? Because of this, right? This is great proof, right? Wonderful proof that Katie was out and about, as she would say, in the neighborhood with her windows rolled up, not looking for Sebastian. She also drove over to the school, and according to Chloe PI, she drove around the parking lot and then left, right? So again, there was video of that. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is that if there was someone, well, there's clearly someone in the school parking lot or around that area that night, um, and they were doing something at 3 o'clock in the morning. Um, but I don't think it had anything to do with Sebastian. I think after that silver sedan left out of that neighborhood, I think that they, um, you know, what did Chris Proudfoot tell um, the Hatfield and McCoys? He said, "Oh, there's no cameras going one way, and you can tear ass down the highway." You know, I'm misquoting him, but I mean, basically, that's what he said. He knew where the cameras were located, and they grabbed Sebastian up and left. They're not going to stick around the area, you guys. Okay. I know that's going to be really tough for people, and people are going to say, well, I trust this person, I trust that person. Well, give me a little bit of faith, you know? Because I think we've established at least that I wasn't a complete moron. Uh, Gina, or excuse me, Tina says CP is scared and should be. I think they're shaking in their boots. I think that's why they weren't, as big and bad as they usually are, right? Um, and even the people on the panel weren't. I mean, they didn't know what to say. I mean, how many times can you stick up for somebody before you throw your hands in the air? You know? So, you just can't continue to stick up for people like that, because it takes away from your integrity. It takes away from who you are and how people look at you. I mean, if they have a brain, I mean, if they're just blindly following somebody like a sheep, of course they're not going to ever get it. I'm not talking to those people. I'm talking to people who actually can think for themselves. And Holly says if they have people like that in their family, I have no doubt that they could easily get someone like that to help them with any type of crime. I agree. When Nina told us about how they did her, and Katie was involved too, I was like, holy cow, we're dealing with hardcore. Well, Chris is obviously, in my opinion, a malignant narcissist, right? And he also probably has some comorbidity with antisocial personality disorder, or some sort of psychopathy, right? And everybody knows that, but his mommy coddles him, and oh no, not my baby. Yeah, your baby is an asshole, and your baby has wreaked a lot of havoc and caused a lot of problems for himself with his actions and his words, right? And him thinking that he's so smart and he's the smartest one, and let me help you out with that, but he never helps you out, you know? No, and Sasha, they could have really got the word out, right? They have enough money and enough pull in that town that they could have had a huge picture of Sebastian's missing flyer if they actually cared to know where he was. But they don't care. They don't care because they all know that Katie's guilty just like we do. They'll just won't admit it. They'll take it to the grave because that's the type of people they are. They don't have a conscience. It's very clear by now, right? Because somebody would have came forward and said, "You know what? This is what I know. And I know that Katie did something to Sebastian," right? Because it's just common sense. It's where, a logical mind would take you if you're thinking logically. CP always rears his ugly head on YouTube when he's scared, like a little bitch. Yeah, I know, CC, exactly. Well, they know that people are honing in on him, right? They know that this is not going away, right? He was talking about even when this is over, even when this is over, we have to live. Well, it's not over. Sorry to break it to you. It's not over. Nobody's done searching for Sebastian. Once we check one box off, we're moving on to the next thing, right? I'm not going to stick with the cemetery. That box has been checked, in my opinion. Right? Now, did Katie throw her eye watch over there or something, or did somebody ditch some evidence? Possibly. Um, but in my opinion, it still doesn't help us find Sebastian. Where is Sebastian? Right? And the police have a lot of information. A lot of information. The scary part is that we're absolutely dealing with officers who are willing to lie for these people. Misplace footage, lose footage of a shootout. That's huge, right? That's not something that was done in the, back in the woods somewhere where nobody, there was only a couple of witnesses. No, this was caught on camera at a very busy gas station. These are the types of people that we're dealing with, and I think we need to really hone in on that. I think that is a very important piece that we're looking at. It should be very important to us, and it should always stay at the forefront of that's who we're dealing with. Knowing your opponent is half the battle. And Veronica says that's scary. Never heard about that. Yeah, Veronica, I did a video. I need to just do a short and really just focus on that part of it, because all the other paperwork kind of might have gotten some of that might have got lost in the mud, in the muck of the, back and forth of the court uh, filing. Good to see you, Tina girl. Thanks for being here. And I was really bugging Bullhorn about second generation, and that's right before that trip. 100%. Yep. Sasha, that's a good thing. I'm glad that you're tenacious. Did you say a shootout at a gas station with gas? Yeah, yeah, IML. Like, it was at a gas station. Yes, ma'am. And that should have been, something that he was held accountable for, and he wasn't, right? Because he's a guy, right? He's part of that, the Foot Clan, so to speak. And they don't get questioned like any of us would, right? They get to do whatever they want. That's their town, right? They don't get the same treatment as anybody else would. Stinky feet. Stink feet. You know? Hey, Anna, good to see you. And CP likely telling these people horrible things about Sebastian that they're not true. And yeah, I've always felt that way. Yeah, I understand, Holly. I'm right there with you. You know, I think that people were painting him in a negative light. And we've talked about this here too. Um, it is very unfortunate, but there are people that think that just because somebody is different than them, that they don't deserve the same kind of dignity, respect, and care, and that they're better, right? Katie thinks she's better, but that's her son. She might think that she's better than Seth, but she married him, right? He was good enough at some point for her, but she's always sitting over here, making these things up. And then she's given it to these trauma channels because they're the only ones dumb enough to believe it, right? I mean, the latest thing is that Seth is abusive towards Sebastian, and he's the one that put the bruise on his neck. That's not true. Everybody knows that's not true, but they'll still say it, and they can say allegedly, in my opinion, just like we can over here, you know. But the police need to step it up. The police are the ones that have the CPS records. The police are the ones that, there were no CPS records at Seth's. Does anybody make that connection, or is that just me? Right? There were 5 at Chris and Katie's. That is what it is. That's not me making it up, right? Sebastian was steadily seeing a counselor at school. We also heard the story from Justin, who heard it from a source at the school. But then we also hear it incorporated when Chris is talking to Nerdy Addict, right? And he just tells him, "Oh yeah, I was at the school and it was because Sebastian was being inappropriate." 100%, Holly. And he's still trying to push that shit of October of last year, right? I think it was October that he went. It was right before I went that he was down there passing out flyers, whatever, talking to people. And then he ran out of flyers, and then Barbecue Lady gets him hooked up with Chris Broadfoot. No, thank you. I'll hit up a Kinko's before I'm ever going to do that shit. And no, I do not want to talk to any of yous at all. I'd rather not be lied to or trolled. Better brush up on The Office. Have never watched it. Oh, Shadow. Oh my goodness, it's so good. There's like what is it called? Comedy Bites on YouTube. They show a lot of the old episodes or like clips from the episodes. It's so funny. It is just so funny. Denise, thank you for that. Yeah, and I wish I could catch Betty more. She comes on early, and that's about the time that I'm just finishing things up and going to bed. So, um, I'm sorry, I'm so behind in chat, you guys. We need to watch the YouTube Katie posted on her Facebook from creator Lori. Interesting. Yeah, I saw that, Gina. That was really interesting. I don't know who that channel is, and I know some people are, like me, and they're like, "Hey, play anything you want." Other times people, are real proud, and they don't, they're not doing it for awareness. They're not doing it for the greater good. They're doing it, for themselves. And some of these people are nasty as hell on these streets. We all know that. Um, Happy holidays. It's so good to see you. So many of these people have lost custody of their own kids, zero self-awareness. Holly, they just, it's like they just go on the YouTube streets and they pretend like they're somebody that they're not, completely. Like, I get it if somebody doesn't want to, like, show their picture and stuff like that, because people are crazy. But they go on there as somebody they're not. Living the dream like they're in high school still, because they didn't get a good, crack at it when they were in high school or something. It's deep seated psychological um issues, right? And a lot of mental health issues, right? Like, you guys wouldn't believe the nasty emails that I get from people that have asked me to help them, and if I don't get back to them that day, oh my gosh, you would have thought that I did something horrible, right? I mean, I would never dream of treating somebody badly if I was needing their help or asking for their help. It really is so heartbreaking to think of all the precious children in this world who had an incubator but not a real mommy. Nani, that's the thing. And I was trying to explain to Tamara, right? Because in Devlin's case, I've worked with both sides of the family in order to get some information and to figure out how we can find Devlin, right? Get to know the situation more, get to know Devlin more. They know him best. But in the process, I've had people pointing fingers in both directions, right? And that's always going to be an issue, especially if none of the family members had anything to do with it. But after Tamara had sent me the text messages showing how Jessica was using cancer and holding that over Devlin's head, I mean, that is not a real mommy, right? That's why we would say and go to that extreme and say that's just an incubator, right? Because there's no care. Um, there's just no care. It's like, I mean, it's just like little RJ's mother, right? It's just like Jaden Spicer's mother. They're not real moms. They're pieces of crap, you know? That's right. Dear trolls, go suck a pencil. Chuchi. Hey Nero V. Yes, I'm hitting it pretty hard, so we can make sure we have a good amount to go to the gathering of voices. And plus I want to make some signs and things like that. I think that would be fun. Um, you know, do some pretty signs for Sebastian. I subscribe from any unsubscribe from content creators who are supporting the Proudfoots because there's evidence that Chris abused Sebastian and Katie supported her husband. Many red flags. Yeah, Adis, thanks for being here. I mean, the proof is in the pudding, right? If I, had any inkling that there was, multiple CPS reports on Seth, I would change my thinking, right? I would put him in the same category. And that's the thing. I'm always going to follow those facts. Always going to follow the facts in order to come to the best conclusion or the best educated guess, right? Inference is the word for that. And if something comes up, yeah, I'm going to change my view, but there's nothing that is documented evidence and proof of Seth doing anything like that, only with Chris and Katie, right? And then even according to Justin, and he spoke with the school, Mr. Proudfoot stormed out of the meeting, right, at the school, which he shouldn't have even been there. Like, what are you doing there anyway? Right? You don't really care. And he's not your child, right? But they're blaming everything on Seth, and Seth had Sebastian every other weekend. And then sometimes, Sebastian would go there. It seemed like there was a pretty open policy there, right? It wasn't like rigid, just only stick to the parenting plan. Um, so yeah, in my opinion, anybody that wants to say that Seth is to blame is absolutely batshit crazy, in my opinion, right? Because we have Seth, um, or they're just lying, right? They're lying to support and they're sheep. Um, we have Seth who was at the jail working, right? But not only that, he produced his time card receipts. He took a polygraph with Nancy Grace. He is absolutely doing everything, right? He showed up to the cemetery in order to find out if Sebastian was there, right? Chris and Katie didn't show up over there. If they truly didn't know what happened to their son, they would be trying to exhaust every option. Even if they didn't believe it, they would still go there and figure out what's going on. And that's what Seth did, in my opinion. Ditches are usually for public drainage owned by the city or county, maintained by them. Yes, bless. That's what I was thinking to myself last night. I'm like trying to get in that ditch now. But I mean, because the thing is that ditch goes all the way back through the common area or the easement or whatever we want to call it. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to play semantics with a bunch of freaking fools. I'm just not going to do it. You know, um, when they've become a licensed realtor and taken all of the necessary classes and continuing education and maintained a license for years and years like I did, then they can come in and talk to me. But until then, I'm not going to listen to a big fat troll. You got me fucked up for somebody else. And I'm sorry, but those people make me sick as hell. Just sick. All of them. And their little crew of Terry Lynn creeps behind the scenes. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. So, um, yeah, no, I'm not down with that. So, yeah, and Holly, I can't support fully because I get it. I know that there's a lot of people that are like, yeah, I can't with nerdy, but there's a lot of people on both sides that are not being completely truthful, in my opinion. There's a lot of stuff going on. And, I will say that the one thing that I appreciated about Nerdy's coverage is that he didn't hold back with showing receipts, right? Like he was like, these are the text messages and this proves it, right? That what I'm saying is true. I'm just recounting what Chris Proudfoot said, and I think there's a lot to be said about that, especially because Chris was trying to get him on his side, right? Because Chris saw something in Nerdy, and I think it's his intelligence, right? Because I think arguably he's very intelligent, and I think Chris wanted to use him. Again, these people don't befriend people because they like the same sports team or they enjoy having a beer and shooting the shit with these people. No, they don't do it for that. They do it to use and exploit whoever they can. And it's terrible, right? It's like, let's figure out the truth because that's what matters. That's the only thing that's going to find Sebastian, you know? Mama D. I don't know who Mama D is, Samantha, but it's good to see you. Thanks for coming in. Mama D just had some info about dogs hitting near the construction site. Yeah, I mean, I'm very hesitant, guys. I'm from the show me state. Show me. Show me the proof. Where's the evidence? Show me. Send me a screenshot, send it to my email. Like I said, I got caught up in some emails last night. So yeah. I'm also not gonna sit there and argue back and forth with people via email. Like I'm not gonna argue back and forth with people, period. I'm just not, you know. Um it's Brittany J's cat. The hate channels won't leave Mabel alone. Oh no. Oh my goodness. Poor Mabel. Well, she didn't deserve that. Poor kitty. I'd like to know more about KP psychology too, Holly. I don't see why they haven't done more with Katie, right? Especially with her having the military background, you know. Some Mabel merch. Oh Lord. Oh my goodness. Remember that time someone said on Facebook that they seen Sebastian and Katie said, "Oh my gosh, was he wearing shoes?" That was insane to me. Oh, I do remember that. Yeah, I do remember that. That's right. Katie, was it posted in a Facebook group? And then Katie was like, "Oh, was he wearing shoes?" She is the world's worst liar. Like if she was actually caught in a combat situation, I don't see how she made it through the military other than the fact that they put her in communications and that's what she was good at. Other than that, if she was caught by the enemy, she would fold under pressure. She's weak, right? She just is. She's weak sauce. Kylie's nail candy, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Such as a parasite. I'm sorry, I'm so behind in chat. Yeah, she reminds me of Amber Turd, Anna. She reminds me of Amber Turd. She really does. She's Katie Turd, the polished turd. Yeah, histrionic for sure. Histrionic for sure. In my opinion, I'm not a doctor. I just play one on YouTube. But you know, I mean, if you look at the DSM-5, you can link up a lot of the characteristics with Katie. And if you look at Amber Heard on the stand, right, in her biggest acting failure, she's performative, just like Katie, right? Oh, come on, y'all. Y'all need Jesus. Y'all need Jesus. Really, Katie, you need Jesus. I don't know anybody on the planet that needs Jesus more than you do, because ain't nobody do the dirt you do. Gina says Katie didn't care about the law. Why didn't she get charged for allowing her child to be around an RSO? Remember, Yeda said Ellie knocked her sister's door down. Yeah, and you know, Seth was talking about how Katie had left Sebastian with her mother and her aunt, I believe it was her great aunt. Oh, here it is. And he had to do a well check because she went there for a visit, and instead of taking um, Sebastian with to dinner, Katie left and went to dinner with her father and left Sebastian there. And when Seth found out about it, he called immediately. You know, he called immediately. Hey, Blessed, good to see you. Diana says Kate is empowered by the Bowersox family despite C was going to leave her, and the choice she made sacrificed her own son one way or another. In my opinion, I believe that too, Diana, wholeheartedly. Um, and the issue is that, you know, these people could do a you know a good channel if they put their energy towards that, but they're not going to do that. So they also find it you know, alluring to be a part of that fuck shit, right? And they're okay with it, right? Because they'll get a super chat or they'll get people that'll give them, you know, their last dime, you know, and just give them money. It's about money. Money, 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 money. All goes back to money. That's it. Follow the money. Where's the money? And then you'll find a bunch of low life degenerates, right? You follow the money, low life degenerates. That's it. Um, Elevated estrogen. That's lovely. Kiwi mate. Good to see you. Is Chris in the same club in Tennessee as Cleto? Crabtree. Elevated estrogen. His behavior makes me wonder. I think so. Yeah, they all seem to have found each other very quickly, and they're all one big happy family. That's funny. I thought elevated goof was a good one. I like elevated estrogen. That's what all of those men have, by the way. I don't know any men that are just so happy to get their wife the latest gossip or their fiance or their girlfriend or anything. Most guys are trying to avoid that like the plague. That's why all of us ladies like to get together and talk like this because most of the time guys don't want to hear it, you know. No offense. They're too busy watching football. And Chris acts like he's all about watching football. No, he's too busy trolling YouTube. Whatever he doesn't have to do with finding Sebastian, which makes it even crazier how invested he is. Well, and I agree with that too. Yeah, I agree with that too. And I think it's very odd that they were bringing that over to him, you know? That's right, mama. When you speak the truth, you don't have to worry about your words. Yeah. Like you know, and especially where you when you have good intentions too. Like, you know, I think intent is a big thing. You know, there's been things that I've said especially in Devlin's case, you know, that people have said, and especially in the beginning there was a lot of misinformation and people with their own agendas, um you know, and things like that. And it's hard to get through the muck in the mud to the truth, right? It's like, I mean, there's just layers to it, you know. Yeah, where's Waldo? I mean, where's Terry Lynn? She's behind the scenes, sharing all of her text messages. That's what she's doing, Gina. It's amazing. I'm like, you know, and then and she acts like she's not doing it, right? She's always innocent. Oh, don't be messing with Terry Lynn. She didn't know. Oh, bullshit. That lady is batshit crazy. And she is always trying to get herself in the limelight, right? She can't help herself, right? She wants to be number one on the news, right? She wants to be the one. She wants to be the one sitting behind Chris and Katie Proudfoot. And that's what she'll do. You know, anything to get her face out there, right? She doesn't care. That's why, you know, yes, I will say she was putting out flyers and things like that, but she wasn't doing it because she wanted to find Sebastian. She was doing it to get information so she can spread that shit around and she could be the one to have all the info. And she was also doing it so she could grift. A hard grift, right? And she fooled many people, but she ain't fooling me no more. I'm completely on to her, right? It's just like she's irrelevant, and she's trying to stay relevant. She's all over Reddit, going back years, in other communities, starting chaos and drama, trolling people about dead relatives, etc. Yes, boiling people's cats. She's a freaking psycho. If you take a handout from Terry Lynn, be prepared to pay dearly for it. And there's proof of that all over Reddit, you know. Um, their club is going to be exposed big time, Kiwi. Yeah, and the police already know. Lo siento, Terry Lynn. Lo siento. She'd be like, Lo siento. What does that mean? Oh God, is she a wackadoo, man? That lady is wacky tacky taffy. Um, oh my God. Anybody that gets involved with her, I feel sorry for ya. Oh my God. I never saw a lot of searching, but I thought Holly, and that was partly my fault. I was too busy, in the chat conversating, da 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 da. Yeah, it was bad. I never saw a lot of searching, but I thought maybe I'm missing something. And then one day, she prank called the tip line, and that was it for me. Yeah, Holly, I remember her doing that. And, I thought I thought it was a joke. Like, I didn't think she was really doing that. Come to find out she was, but that's what she does. Like, that's her forte. That's what she's good at, is doing dirt and being a horrible troll, and going real life on people. Hey Cinderella. Cece says, in my opinion, elevated estrogen with with his mobs and his dangerous trolls. Well, and I found it to be quite hilarious that he was complaining about his wife when he was willing to come after me. Right? I don't know. He said his wife's like some dangerous butch that works at some sort of a horribly dangerous job, and he has to keep her, you know, his phone on so she can call him in case something horrible happens during her terribly dangerous job, but she can't handle YouTube, right? And then he's willing to send, almost $200 to people who lost in court after they lost in court. He's not smart. Like, he plays off like he puts on his glasses like he's some sort of an intelligent person. Just because you wear glasses doesn't make you smart, right? But we'll put the glasses on so it makes me look smarter. Yeah, while I smoke, 20 joints in front of the camera. What a jerk. Yeah. Well, and the thing is they weren't creators before, Kiwi. I don't think they were anyway. Elevated Goof was making the rounds and doing dirt in the streets before. And then he decided to link up with, some of the nastiest people, you know? Yeah, that was very strange, Holly, that was gonna be. Yeah, I just figured, I'm not gonna pay for those. You know what I'm saying? I'll just ask Seth. I'm good on that. I'm good. And it's not a game. And honestly, if we're just trying to get the information out there, I will say I think it's a good thing and it's a very positive thing when people are taking a step back, though, and understanding where Seth is coming from. I thought that was a huge positive takeaway. Um, that I didn't mention yesterday. So that's the good thing. The putting things behind paywalls and playing around with, to me it's a game. To me it's playing. I don't like to play. I'm like, get to the point. Let's see, you got some information. Let's get it on there. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. I don't have any time to continue on with this. I know Seth doesn't. I know it's been extremely hard. Right. And I mean, that goes without saying. I mean, that's something that, we can just, I mean, really just deduct and come up with on our own. But no, you know, um, I'm glad that he was involved, and I'm glad that, he was able to be a part of what was going on, and then taking a step back and understanding. So that might be a part of why they are being more delicate moving forward. But yeah, I mean, and like I said, again, I think it's good to check off every option, right? Make sure, okay, we checked there, okay, good, then that's off the table, right? Because we have to do that, and weeding through all of this information, um and then just continuing to, dig a little. I think that's important. I think that's very important, and continue to research. Everybody independently research. Yeah. Oh, absolutely, Neuro V. That behavior, the windows rolled up, is super sus. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, um, I would like to see if that neighbor across the street would come up off of some of that ring camera footage. You know, Hey, Wild Wolf says, in my opinion, I think CP has others take some of Sebastian's clothes with a scent on them just to throw people off of his real scent, in my opinion, that's a possibility, Wild Wolf. I wouldn't put anything past them, you know? Oh, okay. There's ring cameras on LP, or excuse me, LHP, Long Hollow Pike, if they turn right out of the neighborhood. Okay, so maybe they went left. I wish we could narrow it down, but then again, like, they would have to be caught on some sort of surveillance somewhere, right? But it would just be so hard, um, if they carried Sebastian out, which I believe they did. And again, Mob Crew put that all together, and it made a lot of sense to me. Like, a lot. It was just all of it together, you know, um, made a lot of sense, right? When you see the car going up Kellen, they turn around, they come around, they trip that light off, right? The motion sensor light. That all makes perfect sense to me. But them going, and where did they go for 20 minutes, right? Or were they parked off of somewhere? Were they putting the license plate back on the car? I mean, I've thought of all of these things. It's not that I'm not thinking about them anymore, but I just don't think that, you know, I mean, hey, look, this is the thing, you know, Sebastian being in the cemetery and him being found, in my opinion, it wouldn't be a good thing, but would he be found? Yes. So, I mean, it's a horrible position to be in, as a parent, as, someone who cares about Sebastian's case. We all do. There's no question in my mind about that. There's no question about intentions. I just think that we really need to continue on, right? To find answers, because we obviously hit a dead end there. Um, and like I said, being in the area and seeing the area for myself, and I wish I could have done better justice for you guys. I wish I could have showed you guys that area, um, more in depth, so that you could see exactly the layout, right? As it is today. But then again, I wish that I would have went there in the beginning and, saw for myself what it looked like when Sebastian went missing, right? Because you got those big culverts, and that's something that I will never forget Jen and Jeff telling me that. They're like, they were huge. Like, we could all fit down in them and walk around. They were doing that. They were looking for Sebastian. And I remember there was a lady that they interviewed, and she was saying, those big culverts, and she kept saying it. She's like, those big old culverts down there, what if he got inside, went down in there to get, away from the wind, or something. But she was pointing towards them too. And it's unsettling. Narita says that I think there could have been a handoff at the cemetery. Something was definitely going on. Yeah, I mean, 2 nights in a row to have that activity is definitely something to worth looking into. But I'm also, you know, I mean, the first thing I thought of is that the houses are built up. They're not small little houses either. They're great big houses. They're very, very pretty. Um, that subdivision's really, really nice, that new phase. And, obviously it's brought up property values in the area, and things of that nature. But there's just no way, to get a good recreation at this point because of those houses, because of how built up the area is. Hey, Tabitha. So I mean, I just have to think logically. It's not about, who I like or who I dislike. It's about, thinking logically for myself. Um, so I would just encourage that. Yeah, that's true. That is very true, Tabitha. KP is naval intelligence, so she was taught to disassociate. And I think she was taught to dissociate, from an early age because of her trauma, and I don't like to get too much into that because, obviously it's not my trauma, so it's really not my place um to get into it, right? It's a little bit different when we talk about other missing people's stories, right? And we find out information and we're trying to get to the bottom of things. It's a little bit different because they're not here to tell it, right? And I just feel like, and I think that it's not doing them justice by, acting like it never happened or not talking about it because it's not my story to tell. That's a cop out in my opinion. Um Between the feet, socks, and guy families, there's over 100 of them. I mean, and that's the thing, Gina. Um, I hate giving them the power like that. I really do. I really do because I think about that. But I also think that you know what we've seen even in the court documents speaks volumes about it. Um, so yeah, Kiwi, I definitely think that Katie is guilty. I absolutely do. In my opinion, she's guilty. She's guilty of neglect. She was the last one with her son. She should not um, be free to walk around and do dirt on the internet streets. No, she should not be. Um, and that goes for anybody. It's not just Katie. I would think of that. I would think that way if it was anybody, even myself. If my stepson or my son went missing on my watch, I would feel guilty for that, and she doesn't. It's really sick. And giving her that free uh pass is irresponsible in my opinion, and I will never give her a free pass. And again, also, I do want to say, Kiwi, that I'm about the victims here. I'm about Sebastian. So I don't care if Chris and Katie don't like what I have to say. I don't care what if anybody doesn't like what I have to say. It's my opinion, it's my platform, it's my channel. So I will say whatever I believe to be true here. And if people don't like it, then they can just, go someplace else and watch somebody that supports Chris and Katie. There's plenty of channels that do. Right? There's something for everyone on these streets. And Liberty says, I'll tell you, looking at CP and the fact I studied psychology for a time, went to school for the field of psychology, I believe CP has a cluster B personality issue. Yeah, I believe he is definitely a malignant narcissist, in my opinion. And I too took psychology classes. I was in advanced placement psychology in high school, on my way to college, and then I had my daughter. But my daughter's father was diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder and antisocial personality disorder, and so I was married to someone just like CP, right? Um, luckily never disappeared my child. Um, you know, but then again, I think that he holds his child to a different standard, and narcissists do, because they live vicariously through their children. Um, and some of them are even in competition with their own children, right? They're jealous of their own children. And I think that Chris was jealous of Sebastian. He was well liked. People wanted to be around him. They didn't want to be around Chris. Nobody likes him. The only people that allow for him to have a place, a safe place, is the hate channels on YouTube. That speaks volumes to me, you know? And sealed records is an issue, you know? So yeah, he's definitely a psycho. Liberty, even in the non-clinical sense, he's psychotic, right? Like he doesn't act normal. None of the things that he does are normal. Um, yeah, yeah. It's how Holly says psych counseling agrees here to your spot on in my opinion. You're spot on in my opinion. Yeah, I think so too, Holly. Um, I've wanted as soon as my daughter graduates with her master's, she's gonna get her master's in clinical psychology in May, And so gosh, and I don't want to bug her, but I so want her to look at this case and let me know what she thinks from her perspective, right? Um, but I know she's super busy right now. So I'm like, oh, I really need you to look at this and tell me what you think honestly. She's very smart. Um, Tina Girl, as far as I know, Seth is doing as well as can be expected. Um, I will not speak for him, but I will just say that if any of us had to go to a cemetery with ground penetrating radar looking for our child under the dirt, none of us would be in a good mindset. And it would be very difficult on us. It would be difficult on any of us. Um, you know, and that's why I'm glad that people are recognizing that and taking a step back, understanding, even in here, and I know it's a little bit different, but I don't think it should be very different. I think we should always think about if the family is in the chat, if they're listening. And so, going into detail or, "Oh, I can't wait to see this show. Yay!" That's sickening in my opinion. Um, I it's not okay to me. I think that if you're doing that, sorry, I thought I clicked your comment. If you're doing that, then you have more issues than I could ever explain, right? Because if that was your child, you wouldn't want people acting that way in a live chat, even if they're excited for the creator who's presenting the information. It should never be something where you're just, elated to be there when we're talking about a child quite possibly being put into a grave. Think about the people whose family members are buried at that gravesite. Think about those people for a second. It's difficult for me because um I've met Seth and talked to him. I've worked with him to a certain degree on Sebastian's case. Again, he holds things close to the vest because he doesn't want to ever jeopardize the investigation or the integrity of the investigation. But even if we just take Seth out of the equation, there was family members that were contacted allegedly, according to what Mob Crew said. Um, and it's the best of my understanding from what he said that those family members gave full permission in order for people to see if Sebastian is there. So if it's my grandpa, I'm just going to use this as an analogy, right? A hypothetical. If that was my grandpa and he was buried at the time that Sebastian went missing, and almost 2 years later, I'm getting a phone call and they're saying, we need to look at your grandpa's grave because there might be a young boy who was 15 years old who could be in there with grandpa. I mean, I don't think I have to explain much further. It's just putting ourselves into other people's shoes for a minute. And I understand that not everybody can do that. But again, just think of it if it was your loved one, if it was your son, if it was, um, grandma, anybody, your aunt, your great aunt, or I mean, I'm assuming this person was older. I hope they are. And maybe that's just my brain trying to wrap my head around it. But I mean, th- there's nothing joyous about that. I mean, that is like top-notch troll behavior that you would get excited for something like that. Yeah, is it exciting thinking that we may have found Sebastian? Sure. Um, but I just can't get excited about knowing where he is there. Now, if somebody was like, "Hey, I think he's in this school and I think we got a really hot lead about him being in this school," that would be more exciting and joyful for me because that would mean that Sebastian's still alive, you know. Um, and that's just that is exactly 100% how I feel about it. and what I think. Gina says maybe we should invite a representative from the United Cajun Navy to the gathering of voices. I think that would be fantastic, Gina. I would really like to see them come back out for a search in the area. Yeah, isn't that crazy, Mama Marissa? That was court records that Chuchi had pulled, which I had never read that part of it either. Um, and like I said, there was a lot of legal jargon and a lot of case referencing and back and forth. But he had a damn good lawyer, citing case precedents and things like that, back and forth with the court. And somebody with that, um, somebody of that caliber is well paid, right? And probably on retainer for that disgusting piece of crap human, in my opinion, of course. But based on those court records, it's gross. Um, Nani McPoppin says, I don't know if it's true, but KP was seen taking down exterior lights and cameras. However, if that is true, then surely it would be captured on neighbors' CCTV. And hopefully, Ellie, preferably FBI, has the footage. Yeah, I think that's a good point, Nani. And I heard the same thing. I will say that Dolly had shown when he was there were exterior light bulbs that were missing. And then I think he went back again, or maybe somebody had driven by and, showed him, and they noticed that the big floodlights were put in there, right? So there was no floodlights or exterior lighting when Sebastian went missing, but then after the fact there was lighting put back up, you know? And then, and Katie, oh, the neighborhood's so dark and da da da. Well, yeah, and I kind of was like, yeah, Katie, it's dark at night, but then I found out, okay, there's no street lights or whatever, but still, all the more reason for you to light up your own house. I mean, we're not cavemen, right? And these are not, people who don't have the means to illuminate their own home, right? I mean, look at this one. Look at this house across the road from the footage that came from Mob Crew, right? So here's that silver sedan that was in the neighborhood at 3 a.m. And this camera wasn't jammed, right? You can just see the timestamp and everything. But then look at that garage. I mean, it's like freaking Christmas. And then they also have lighting that goes around that are like little solar lights, right? And Katie said, "Oh, I had the solar lights in the garden," and that was when she was, talking like, not country, not using a fake accent, in my opinion. And when I talk like that, I'm not trying to, make fun of anybody from the South or anything like that. I mean, I'm probably the most Southern living down here in Florida. But, we all have accents for, and different things. And I just love accents. But I also think it's important to remember that Katie is insulting people's intelligence that are from the South, talking like this and all of that. She's the one insulting people. And then I just poke fun at her, but she wasn't doing that on Nancy Grace. It was the Bond, I mean, she was a completely different person from interview to interview, histrionic, in my opinion. Holly says, and in my opinion, a lot of the joking and threatening is out of fear. I think so too, Holly. Yeah, they're trying to act like, they're not bothered, you know? Aw, mama. Yeah. I know, and see migraines and and it's stress. It's stress, you know? So, hey, Angela Hall, I don't think they have checked the job site. I don't think so. Chris had said some interesting information about finding old remains on a job site. Um, but I don't think there's a connection to Sebastian. I think again he's trying to divert attention away. You know, I think that they threatened Ellie too. Holly, you're not going to talk to my wife without without me present. Who is okay with that? What law enforcement agency ever has been okay with that? None of them. If I told them that, they'd laugh at me and say, "Ma'am, we're going to put you under arrest." Right? It didn't matter how much I kicked and screamed and didn't like it. They still bring me down there. I mean, I can get as mad as I want to, but it doesn't matter. I'm still going, right? But Katie is somehow not treated in the same regard, right? And is it because they want to be really careful because they have information and they don't want to mess anything up and they know that these people will just hire a defense attorney that will get them off? Possibly. But I think there's something deeper than that. KP learned to compartmentalize and dissociate at a young age. It was easy for her to move forward. Very easy, Tabitha. I agree. Yeah, absolutely. Very easy for her to move forward. Very easy for her to detach from the situation and distance herself. That boy is your son. I've never referred to my daughter as that girl. I don't think. Maybe I have, but not as many times as Katie has. I don't distance myself from my daughter, right? She's my daughter, right? I'm her mother. I don't dissociate from my child. I never will. Um, Never will. So I don't see how she does it. Tina girl, it's the blame Sebastian theory. I agree. Why is it always Sebastian's fault? He's an innocent child. He should have been protected by his mother. Right? And if Chris is such a badass, how come he's not protecting his family, making sure there's adequate lighting, making sure that Katie installs home security in her own area, right? But she doesn't do that. Yeah, they're also using them for content as they get high, as they smoke the wacky tobacco. Yep. Oh yeah. Law enforcement needs to take out the trash. I agree, Angela, and I don't see how they're putting up with all of the heat that they are. Because again, we talked about that too. Like, how come they're how come they are allowing for this and allowing for the proud feet to make fools of them? Because that's what they're doing. They're getting blamed for something they didn't even do. They do get narcissistic supply that way, Liberty, for sure. For sure. Charlie Manson's wives. Oh Lord. Oh my goodness. Yeah, they need to be reminded of when trash day is. Chuchi. I'm just listening. I apologize. I'm actually fit to be tied. Sasha, trying to move on top of law enforcement doing nothing in these cases. I know it feels like we're in a standstill, but it seems like things are getting looked into again. I mean, I would think that they absolutely have to look into every single lead that they can possibly look into. And so with that, I would hope that they would at least be involved in what's going on um, with the cemetery, right? With the school lights, all of that. They should already know all of that. They should have came out and made a public statement, but they won't do that, right? They can't be bothered, right? You know, they just can't be bothered. Um, I mean, for fuck's sakes, elevated estrogen put out into the universe. It was possible that Sebastian impregnated his own mother. What in the actual fuck? I know Chris wasn't even phased by that. None of them were, Holly. But you know what? But you know what really phased them was whenever people were talking about Sebastian's trauma that happened as a result of the SA in California. That's when Katie got up there. Don't talk about my son's trauma. Well, where are you at when your boy's talking about it? Because I would have publicly made a statement about something like that. That was absolutely disgusting. I was listening to that on the way home from Hendersonville. Really gross. Really, really gross. Like, I mean, as if they didn't get enough attention from the shit that they caused with Pigfest, playing let's see if we can sponsor the event card. Then they make up some shit like that. I mean, exactly, Holly. That's exactly what I thought. It doesn't even matter what I think of Katie. I would never think that. Why would they think that? Why would they ever come to that question? Because of all the questions that I've ever thought of asking Katie, that's not one of them. Ever. It would never be on my radar. So what has she told them that leads them to believe something like that? I think that there was absolute SA going on in that household for them to believe that. Hey, they're the ones that saw the CPS records. I haven't. Mom Marissa says, hopefully when we finally get to see the trash video, it will be LE putting silver bracelets on them. Now that's a trash video, in my opinion. 100% Mama well said. Exactly. Exactly. And I think they won't show us the trash video, right? Because they are absolutely afraid that everyone is going to flip out and say Sebastian never went home, never made it home, right? That would be the only reason they wouldn't show it. Why wouldn't they show that little piece in the front of the Texas Roadhouse when Sebastian's walking on his tiptoes as a reference for if we see him out, right? They didn't do any of that stuff. None of them wanted us to see what Sebastian looked like the night that he went missing. Instead, they put out their own narrative. The TBI posted, let me get my head out of the way here. There we go. That's the TBI logo on a picture of Katie smiling all pretty with her hair down. Oh, look at me. When in this one, she looks like she's ready for Fight Club, right? The night that Sebastian went missing, she looks like she's ready for Fight Club. She doesn't look like a pretty little selfie picture. Come on now. Expect us to believe this? I absolutely watch reviews of the hate channels because it's crazy fascinating to me. These people have created their own realities straight out of fantasy. Oh my gosh, I know, Holly. And I had to talk to one of our subscribers about that. I was like, if you really want to get the Chroma Chronicles, just ask her to have Gracie on panel, right? Because it's Gracie with the voice changer. Right? And they're sticking up for Terry Lynn and still talking about her, making sure she's still relevant. It's really sick what they've done. They're in their own little fantasy worlds, right? Oh, hardcore. And anybody that follows them is dumber than a box of rocks, in my opinion. Oh, he's 100% innocent, Mama Marissa. And they're always trying to say that Seth is the one that's wrong and look at his temper. Are you kidding me? No way. We all have a temper. You guys have seen mine. I mean, yesterday I was just all over the place, I mean, it happens. We all get angry, we all vent. But for somebody to say that Seth had anything to do with Sebastian's disappearance, it's not only ignorant, it's just way off base. And it's okay as long as the hate channels are saying it about Seth, but heaven forbid you say anything about Katie, who was with her son last, who has produced no receipts, and who has been given multiple lie detector tests, in my opinion, because she's a liar, right? Because she's a bad liar. And good to see you, Catherine. And also, don't forget that Katie, oh, sorry, my mouse, I have to, okay, there we go. And we can't forget that Katie has never come out and showed us any type of proof that would make us believe that she's innocent. And that in and of itself is very strange to me, because if you all thought that I did anything bad to my child, I would be trying to prove to you that I didn't. Especially if I was willing to get up on a panel. I mean, why wouldn't you? And why wouldn't you take the opportunity to plead for your son's safe return? Liberty says Seth is completely, or excuse me, is absolutely innocent, and people who believe otherwise have zero common sense, logic, or decency. I agree. I agree. And that's on top of, him tracking down leads in a damn cemetery. I can't even imagine, nor would I want to. And to put it in Katie's words, I wouldn't wish that on my own worst enemy. Well, I wouldn't either. So what are you doing to the father of your son? He was good enough for you at a certain point, Katie. He was good enough for you all the way up until you wanted to divorce him. Then he was a horrible person that couldn't be trusted around Sebastian, but he was fine to raise him up before that, wasn't he? And that's what makes me absolutely sick, because that happens all the time in divorce cases. Oh, yeah, they were good enough to sleep with. They were good enough to have kids with. They were good enough to sleep next to for years and years. Good enough to marry, good enough to say exchange vows with, right? But then all of a sudden, because you don't want them anymore, they're a horrible parent, and the child doesn't deserve a relationship with them. That's disgusting, and that's sick, and it's twisted. And the only person you're hurting is that child. The only person. Oh, she told us everything we need to know. Angela said they need to check out semi trucks in the parking. Did they do all that? The car creak at the driver. Oh, car. The creek that the diver found. The car had a lot of dirt. Did anyone else check deeper? I'm not sure, Angela. That's a good question. Yeah, that's a very good question. I'm not sure about that. I mean, I'm wondering about that too, Liberty, and I know we've spoke about that too before. Like a storm cellar. I mean, Katie's talking about basements, you know. Yeah, so adamant that nobody goes on their property. How come? I think it's a control thing. I think that they just, don't want people around their house because they think that they have some sort of um immunity to people driving past their house. I mean, big deal. If somebody drives past your house, to drive past your house. People drive past houses all the time, you know. Um Yeah, and I know Liberty, and it's just back and forth with the dog sense, but that's another thing that they did themselves, right? If you ask Seth a straightforward question, he'll give you a straightforward answer. You ask Chris and Katie a straightforward question, you're not going to get a straightforward answer. And I can't stand that. That's the biggest red flag for me, and that makes me not even want to talk to somebody, you know? I agree with that too, little Miss Sharon. CP thinks recovering addicts are low-hanging fruit. Yeah, he does. He looks for a weakness to exploit, and it's sick. And it's wrong, you know? So, yeah, I don't blame Seth either, Tina. I would have gone too. Yeah, even if it's so difficult, I would have gone. I would have gone. The love of money is the root of all evil, Mama Marissa. Absolutely. Absolutely. And people that just, see that as the end all be all, they hold it to the highest standard. Narcissists are that way, but there are other, personality flaws that would cause people to do that very thing, right? Yeah, because they can exchange it for whatever they want. So, justice for Newt, good to see you. No, I wouldn't call Devlin Bubba. No, I don't think I don't know. I'm just not a Bubba person. I'm not a Bubba person. A little guy, I might call him Bub. I don't know, but I mean it just depends. I give nicknames though. I'm a nicknamer. That's just something on my dad's side that we do. And so, you know, I have nicknames. My cousins have nicknames. So it's terms of endearment. Um Nero V says EMUPD. borderlines can't cope with rejection in romantic relationships. And this was a huge trigger when CP said, "It's him or me," causing extreme emotional dysregulation coupled with some wine, etc. Well, and I agree with that, Neuro V, and that's another thing too. Narcissists are the same way. That's why they hoover back. They seek out the supply, and borderlines they don't want to be abandoned. That's the big thing for them. Um, Abandonment issues, and that fear of rejection. No one likes rejection, right? Like, because people could be like, well, nobody wants to be abandoned, nobody wants it. We all our basic needs, right? If we're talking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the most very basic is love and belonging. As human beings, we all seek that out. That's very normal, natural, and healthy. Where it becomes unhealthy is when you want to smother or suffocate someone who doesn't want nothing to do with you, and then you become that psycho single white female, shit that we see on the streets, right? Or people who refuse to look inward and get the help that they need and the counseling that they need. Instead, they come on the internet and they point fingers at everybody else, right? They'll be like, well, look at this person. Well, look at yourself, right? But they don't do that, you know? Hannah says, I always thought that Terry Lynn came off across crazy, but I couldn't help defending her when Jay and the bad girl gang bullied her on a live stream. I regret that now. She is worse than them by the looks of it. Yeah, Anna, I'll tell you, I was following Jay until that happened with Terry Lynn, because I felt bad for her. But then I realized that Terry Lynn does that. She'll say that she's going to bring the receipts, and then she never does. Terry Lynn loves the attention, right? And I don't even think there's any way that I could properly say what's wrong with that one. She's just, again, batshit crazy. Sad thing is we paid for to search for Sebastian. Yeah, yeah. I mean, at least we can mark it off the list, At least we can mark it off the list. Yeah, that's true. Narc straw borderline tally, but the borderline strong. Yeah, yeah, I agree. CP is not a man. Anyone who can do what he did to Nina and to R, he should be in jail for a long time, or he should have been in jail a long time ago. I agree with that. Yeah, yeah. And the thing is that again, in those situations, you're afraid to tell. You're afraid to tell, and that's sad. That's very sad. Um, because I do think that Nina should have properly reported all of that, and it would have been on CP's record, but instead, he got off scot-free. So, and I'm not one to talk in that regard, because you are in a situation where you're scared, and you just want it to stop, the trauma of all of it. The lady next to KP, Laura, I'm not sure. I know that's one of their supporters. Everybody that was on that side of the aisle was supporting the feet that day, So, yeah, they're a couple from hell, and that's the thing. It's sad. That's Katie's Frozen era. She does look like Frozen, right? Oh my goodness, that's funny. A match made in hell. Oh Lord, help us. Uh Look at they're sitting there so smug. Oh my gosh. And that's what's so sad about the whole situation, is that she thought that she was going to get away with that crap in the court system. And she dragged everybody through it, instead of looking for Sebastian. And then, you know, we have people who are willing to stick up for that and to stand 10 toes down, you know, or Julie groveling on the panel, you know, no way. When when you look at CP and KP's past, that says a lot about them. Just take away everything about Sebastian. They're evil, if you ask me, in my opinion. Yeah, I think the past actions, because I hate to not give anybody, a second chance or something like that. Um, because people do change when they want to, when they put the effort forth and they try. Well, there is no try, there's only do, right? When they do better, when you know better, you do better. But in the same way, they've never taken responsibility, Mama Marissa. So I agree. You know, it's strange. Hey, Pammy Bear, thanks for becoming a new member. Thank you very much, and welcome to the Dragon Tribe. Aw, thank you. What have crazy people flocked to this case? Why have the crazies flocked to the case? I don't know, Holly, but it's funny because I did ask Terry Lynn the same thing in one of her chats. Come to think of it, I'm like, what's with all these weirdos? And then I was actually asking one of the weirdos, in my opinion. Hell, maybe I'm one of the weirdos too, but I don't know. Aw, thanks, Chuchi. Oh, elevated goof. Yeah, yeah. Hey, Salome, I also think KP wore Sebastian's shoes to the cemetery pond construction site. The shoes have always been something that have bothered me as well. You know? Yeah, that's always been because I know maybe some people wear the same shoes as their kids. I don't know. I don't know. For me, it's more something that you might do when they're very little, that you maybe get them like some baby Jordans, and then you get yourself some Jordans. It's kind of cute to wear them around. When they're teenagers, you just don't do that kind of stuff to a teenage boy, especially a teenage boy. You know, you don't wear the same shoes as your son because it's very off-putting, and not only that, are you trying to get him teased at school? I think Katie would like to see Sebastian teased, and she allowed for it with Aunt Melissa, right? She was just fine with Aunt Melissa teasing her child and being all up in his business when he's trying to tell her something. Katie is a sick bitch. She really is. She is disgusting, right? That's Sebastian's looking at Chris Proudfoot's sister on his birthday, you guys. Looking at her and saying for her to stop. Stop bothering me, Aunt Melissa. Stop being a dick, Aunt Melissa. But Aunt Melissa doesn't know how to be anything but a dick, in my opinion. Sorry, we're not in night court. I should mind my manners. Ridiculous. Yeah, Liberty. I know. Well, and the funny thing is that um he was he ordered the psych evaluation through the courts because he thought he was going to have some moment with me, and the moment came when they figured out who he was. um it's interesting how typical CP is. It is Marilyn, good to see you. I agree with that. I think that he's textbook, he's a textbook character, you know. Oh my goodness, Liberty. See, and those are the things that help us identify, even if we're not a doctor. When you've been with somebody like that, it's like you can recognize it, you know. Um, I think the Navy who trained C and K were helping with the search and investigation of Seth, and they then arrest them and strip them of their records, in my opinion. Hmm, that's interesting, Diana. I don't know. You know, Lady Freedom, would you say CP is worse than your ex? I feel like he's one of the most severe out there. I think they're very equally yoked, Holly. That's why it was so painful to watch Nina. I mean, just pain. It pains me. Like it puts me right back there. It puts me right back there. And that's why I haven't reviewed her content a bunch, but like even when I was going back and watching Jen's live, where she was reviewing Nina's statements, um, again, it just put me right back. Right. And subsequently he married a lady that was just like, Katie. They were just perfect for each other. And they terrorized me a lot, but I allowed for that too. And once I could recognize that I got help, and learned how to, like disassociate myself really, and just, not, as my good friend would say, don't let them run your emotional throttle. And it's a big, thing to kind of recognize that I was part of it, right? If I don't allow for them to do it, um, you know, and I could use some coping skills and things like that to my benefit. Um, because, but the thing is that, like with Nina at the airport, the minute that she was given those papers, it was like all of the trauma flooded back, right? And so she was back in the place where she was when she realized that she wasn't going to get to see her baby, right? And that they were taking her. And I can't imagine going through that with an infant. Um but it's not right in any age for any kid. For any parent, for the child, it's the worst thing for the child. It's not in the best interest unless, say the parent is on, some sort of substance, or if they have severe mental health, problems, and they need to get some help, in my opinion. But yeah, Nina just, the physiological response, right? And the flashback, the way that it brings you right back, everything floods back, um, is absolutely why she flew off the handle, right? And understanding not to let them get to you like that is it's not only difficult, sometimes it's impossible, because you are so stuck in that trauma. And so I just always pray for Nina, for the best for her, and hopefully she can learn to cope with what they're doing, recognize it, and not let them see her get upset, right? Because that's what they're looking for. They're looking for the reaction. And once they get it, they have a trollgasm, right? That they get off on it. They love it, you know? Aw, thank you, Gina. Yeah, I'm proud of her. I'm real proud of her. She's a good kid. Um, you know, a young lady, I should say. She's not a kid, but she's my kid. Um, yeah, 7 hours. 7 hours. Not a word about Sebastian, right? Only that we're doing things to find him. Oh, damn that mob crew, damn that Silvers, damn that Betty, you know. I can't even believe that they still talk about Betty like they do. Like, it's amazing to me that they don't know how to take an L. They just can't take the L. None of them can, though. Their egos won't allow for it. They all still talk about um the green team. I used to be a mod for the green team. Yeah, well, that was my mistake. Yeah, Mom Marissa, I know it's hard. It is hard to watch Nina's interview. It really is. It's extremely difficult, and I really think that prior to Nina, it's my opinion that Chris was highly abusive to his ex-wives, but he was realizing that he could get in trouble for that, and so he turned the anger on the children, which is even more sad because he was allowed to play it off as discipline, to these beautiful children. So she pulled her hand away from you when you were clipping her nails. First of all, why are you clipping her nails? Like, I don't even know. Ugh, yuck. I just couldn't with that, but I understand when you have a baby with somebody, it's different. I also got together with my husband when I was 16. you know, we were both 16, so it's not like he was older than me or nothing, but um you know, that's a whole different level too, I think. um Stella May says, I would hate to be in anyone's shoes going through what Seth is. Yeah, absolutely, Stella. You know, I think Seth handles it so well, you know, and that's one thing that I will always give him kudos and credit for, you know, um, because he just handles it very well. I mean, I just don't know how much better he could handle it. Um, oh, I know, Cece. Oh my goodness. I would just love I'm glad. I'm glad. I'm glad for you. You know, I just would love to see a positive outcome because I know you're going to be like so free when you get away from him. You know, it's just like me moving to Florida. I'm just so free, not having to worry about, you know, anything like that. So if you have someone that wants to take everyone to court, that's a problem. Yeah, and narcissists love dragging people through court, Mama Marissa. They just love it. They absolutely love it. And it's a game. It's a game to them. It's not like they've been wronged and it's about principle. They're the ones that are wronging other people and then they play the victim. It's just like Chris saying to Mob Crew, Chris, you know, come over here and I'll walk it with you. Why? So he can go knock on your door? I mean, you'd have to be a damn fool, and he's not a damn fool. So you would have to be a damn fool to go over and knock on Chris Proudfoot's door and say, "Oh, hey, sir, I was wondering if you can walk me through the neighborhood." But that's what he does. He invites it, and then he acts like a victim. And that's the biggest thing that they've done through the court system, right? Is they start everything and then they run back and say, "Oh, we're the victims. We're the victims." They're not. You know, just like them going on the panel and starting a whole bunch of bullcrap, you know, and threatening people and mocking people for their efforts. Um, you know, and then they run off and say, "Oh, these horrible YouTubers, they're harassing me." Oh, bullshit. You're the one harassing people. Come on. You know, it's crazy. It's gaslighting in the worst degree. Remember the looks on their faces when they were asked in the interview about the flashlights. Oh, Holly. Oh, yeah. And even when Nancy Grace was talking about it, Chris was grinding his teeth. He was gnashing his teeth. The lights video is where it's at. I'm telling you guys that is the key. Now figuring out where that silver sedan went after that, gosh, I wish I knew, you know? Right? Yeah. Well, and that's it, mama, but you're genuine. You are a genuine person, you know? And so and that's another thing. Narcissists don't like genuine, you know, because they're so fake. And if they do like the genuine, they'll try to mirror match it, right? They'll try to feign normalcy, right? They're always trying to act normal, but they're not. They're anything but. Hey, Mama Bear. Mama Bear says the Proudfoots and Bowersox getting ROs on Betty was pure damage control after she caught Terry Bowersox stalking her. Exactly. Made him look bad or guilty. The old accuse your enemies of what you're guilty of. Gaslighting in the worst fashion. That's right. Exactly, Mama. And they turned that around right on whoever their subject of, I mean, harassment is. Yeah, because Terry was absolutely stalking Bullhorn Betty. You know, he didn't only drive past her once, he drove past her twice, you know? So I think that says a lot, you know. There was footage I seen that at around 9 p.m., someone taking down cameras from the house on the 25th. It looked like EC standing there, as I could clearly see hairline and his facial features, in my opinion. Oh, wow, Stella May. That's interesting. Ebony says, yeah, I agree with Mama Bear. Oh, wow. Yeah, enlarging it. And that's the thing with some of these images, it's so hard once they're so heavily pixelated to even share, you know? This is not sustainable in my opinion. They shouldn't get too relaxed, and I don't think they are. No, I don't think they are either. I think they're on alert because it's just like Travis Decker. They have to be perfect every day. We just have to be perfect one day. We just have to figure out what happened, right? So it's a lot harder for them because they have to maintain their lies, you know? It's got to be exhausting. But that's why they go on platforms that it's easy for them, and they garner respect and everybody listens to them. I mean, if Chris Proudfoot came on my panel and said, "Let me help you out with something," I would start laughing at him like he's the fucking fool that he is. I mean, it'd be a real knee slapper, you know. So um a real knee slapper. I'd be like, "Oh yeah, you're here to help us out, huh? Okay, Haas, what you gonna tell us?" I mean, I'd totally roast his ass, So he's never gonna come up on a panel where he's actually gonna get the hardball questions, right? He'll just end up throwing a fit and doing one of those things that he did on Clue's panel where you couldn't even understand what he was saying. He was ha 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 ha. Like he's a nut. He's a complete nut. He's a loose cannon, and he should be in jail, in my opinion. They're very close to mocking Sebastian. The way they spoke of an upcoming gathering of voices, it's shocking. I mean, I can't believe it either, Holly. I can't believe that Katie wouldn't say, I appreciate that. We won't be attending because, maybe we don't feel welcome or something like that. I don't know, but she didn't say anything like that. I wish they'd be more productive. Oh, what do you want us to do, Queen Katie? What do you want us to do? Queen of Fuck Shit Mountain. Oh, it's just it is grotesque. Grotesque is a good word for that. Grotesque is a really good word for that. Oh, Miss Ann, have a good night, hun. Oh, thank you. Oh, I didn't see that comment. I'm sorry. Oh, I hope you feel better, Miss Ann. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for being here. Just another example of how they lie about everything, in my opinion, allegedly, no matter how big or small, anything not to have anyone looking for Sebastian, in my opinion. They have never told any truth. Karen, all their whole story has been nothing but fabrication, in my opinion. I don't believe not a word of it. Right? I mean, I believe what we can see on camera. I mean, obviously we know that they went to the strike and spare, right? I don't know what they did at BJ's. Nobody has seen that footage, if there is any footage of it, right? Um, I don't know what they did in between there. And then they end up at the Texas Roadhouse. We've seen some of that footage. Again, we haven't seen all of it. And I wish that they would release that. Again, I think releasing that footage would spark new interest in Sebastian's case in a positive direction. I think releasing footage that you can't tell, and it's, you know, there's lights and stuff, and it's open to interpretation, and people can say, well, because you're never going to know what those cars, whose cars those are. Law enforcement has to know. I mean, they claim they know. They claim they know every car that was in the area that night. So if they're claiming that, I don't know what to believe on that. I don't trust law enforcement. They want us to believe that the lights video is a trash truck, right? Then they want us to say that, to believe that it's headlights. Um, I mean, it's just, yeah, I don't believe, I've lost trust in law enforcement, and I think that's one of the biggest reasons why, in my opinion, Chris and Silvers, they turned everything into law enforcement, but they're also doing their own independent research, which I applaud, because we can't trust them to do the right thing. They haven't done the right thing, and I'm talking about law enforcement. Sadly, it pains me to say it. Hey, Magic Star, it really does. It pains me to say it, you know? But I mean, what have they done to help? What have they done to prove that they're looking into every lead? Sasha says, "Yep, Carter will receive a national media a gift card from Texas Roadhouse. Yep, and we will all celebrate privately." Fuck yeah. I mean, hey, I really cannot um fault law enforcement when I know they didn't have anything to do with Sebastian going missing. I don't think, maybe perhaps they did. Perhaps it's worse than we think. Um so okay, sorry about that. Wouldn't it make more sense for KP to do whatever with Sebastian in the middle of the night rather than after daylight the next morning? I would think so, Tammy. But there's still that 38 minutes that's kind of unaccounted for, right? I mean, obviously, Katie is driving around the neighborhood. I don't know. Does this one have a timestamp on it? I know this one is from the bus, right? And then I just added this picture in and Sebastian's picture or whatever. So this is the one bus going through at 6:20 a.m. on the morning of the 26th. Um, Now this one doesn't have a timestamp. And this was, I believe, just a screen grab from Mob Crew from Chris's channel. So, you know, she drove around the neighborhood, drove over to the school. But the thing is that if you just drive a little bit up the road, there's Worshams, right? So I mean, there could have been something that happened within that time period, and we don't have any camera footage from Worshams. Again, another gas station that the camera footage is just lost, right? In connection to the Proud Feet, the Foot Clan, right? So, I mean, it's very possible that something could have happened. If I think about it, and I think to myself, okay, well, what if the lights video is null and void? What if I believe law enforcement and I say, there's nothing to that lights video. I don't believe, anything is having to do with that lights video. Then I could say either Sebastian didn't make it home. Stop 30 would be a perfect handoff spot. But again, with that 38 minutes in the morning that Sebastian wasn't reported missing, say something happened overnight. Excuse me. Say something happened overnight and say, for example, just a hypothetical, that Katie had given Sebastian too much medication, either on accident or on purpose. We all, an overdose situation is almost always on purpose because you know how much medication your child is on and how much to give them, and one pill more is too much, right? To only give your child the recommended dose. So, say Katie did something like that, or maybe she dosed Sebastian with something that was handed off by the green hoodie person. And obviously, that would take a little bit of time. And I want to be very delicate with what I'm saying here to theorize. But say, the plan was that Katie put Sebastian in the vehicle and he was incapacitated or no longer with us. And then she took him and handed him off to someone and they took out because look, law enforcement was none the wiser. They just came in like a bunch of dummies. No offense, but they did. They're like, "Oh, this kid's got autism. Where's he at?" I mean, I'm sorry, but they didn't treat it properly in my opinion. There would have been plenty of time for somebody to take, Sebastian and drive him all the way up to where Chris was, and then Chris didn't get, back until whatever time he was back, 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I mean, there's plenty of time to have done something to Sebastian that morning. So I can't overlook that either. But I agree with you. It would have been smarter. But if they were panicked, right? Or if this was just part of their plan, it could have worked out that way, right? I just, you know, I just can't say either way because, say we had proof of Sebastian taking the trash out, right? Like, say we could say unequivocally, oh yeah, that's Sebastian, there he is. Hey, Linda Hall. Then I think that would have been more to work off of, right? Or we would have just had more information in general. So we'd know Sebastian actually made it home. But the fact that we can't even tell if he made it home or not, um, I just can't discount that, and then also there's all this lapses in time. And then don't forget that Chris Proudfoot, speaking of Nina, when he was telling her about Sebastian's disappearance, he told her that Sebastian disappeared between the hours of midnight and 6 a.m., right? So, with that being said, and reading between the lines there because they're not being truthful, then, you know, what he's saying essentially is that Sebastian could have just left out in the morning right before Katie woke up, right? He could have left at 5 o'clock. He could have left at midnight, 1, 2, 3, 4, and again, it puts Sebastian disappearing in the early morning hours of the 26th, not the 25th, right? That's what he's putting out into the universe. That's what he's pushing out as facts. Hey, Faye, good to see ya. Stella says Sebastian was nervous from the time he walked into Texas Roadhouse, including when he sat down, and you could see she immediately was looking around as soon as she got in and before she even sat down, in my opinion. Yeah, she was really uppity. She was really uppity, Stella. I agree. Super uppity. Looking around, very strange. Almost like she was on something. She was like paranoid. CP does a lot of talking, but I've never heard him say that he overheard KP saying goodnight to Sebastian, although he was on the phone with her. Anyone else hear him mention it? Tammy, I think that's a great point. And we talked about that here a couple of times, because Chris has never put himself in the story, right, in the script, in my opinion, as being the one to overhear things going on, right? He's always putting himself there, which means that they've fabricated a story, in my opinion, and come up with a story to stick to, and they're not good liars, right? They're not aware of how they're using their words, right? And so they get caught up, in my opinion. And so, with that being said, we never hear Chris on the phone overhearing things as we would expect him being 3.5 hours away, which is a huge red flag to me. And no, I've never heard him mention anything like that. You know, he distances himself, if anything. Well, mom said this, and mom went, and then mom wakes him up for school, and mom notices he's not there. Whose mom, Chris? Your mom, Cruella? Or are you talking about your wife, Cruella? Which one are we talking about? Because we got two cruel ass bitches, in my opinion, and you're not specific about either one of them, in my opinion. Sandy says, is TL the one with too much collagen in her lips? No, TL is the haggard one that's sitting directly between Chris and Katie. Right? Looking like she just rolled out from a bender, in my opinion. Sorry. That probably wasn't as nice. I'm not being very nice today. But I mean, look, it's been a very stressful last couple of weeks. Lady Freedom says, or excuse me, little Miss Sharon says, lady, apparently guilty of crime, is going to talk about portions of HRD K9 search teams had been leaked online and is going to release the entire report in Sebastian's case. Oh, I want to go see that. I really love Guilty of a Crime. She's amazing, and just has been so kind and has come into the chat. And when we're talking about Devlin and Sebastian. So yeah, I will definitely go over and show some support over at Guilty of a Crime. Thanks, little Miss Sharon. And if you guys want to drop her link in the chat, please do. I really respect her because she's done nothing but show me the utmost respect, and I appreciate that a lot. Sometimes we don't get that here on the streets. Holly S, thank you so much for your super sticker. Thank you. Aw. Um, if some guy was allergic to my cats, he would take a Zyrtec. Right, Cece? Exactly. Oh, and then all this bull crap about how, oh yeah, well, the dogs and cats are a part of our family. Bull crap. Yeah, but he doesn't mention the fact that he made Sebastian get rid of his cats, right? They're very. It's either to incite anger in the community that knows the truth, or they're just that inept. I can't figure out which one it is. Blessed hashtag Huckleberry. you know, that's cool. Yeah, yeah, that's really cool. Um, I definitely want to see that. I feel it's very dangerous for Faith the older she gets and she starts to speak up more and have her own personality. Oh, definitely, Holly. That's the thing that people don't understand, and I'm glad that you mentioned that, because narcissists like the little ones, right? They like little kids because they're easy to manipulate. Little kids are very loving, caring, naive, right? And gullible, in their own right. Of course they're learning, they don't know, they're little. um but they love little kids, right? Because the little kids will model behaviors. They don't question the behaviors until they get older and they realize, oh well, when I go down to Johnny's house, Johnny's mom and dad don't act like my mom and dad, right? I don't have to walk on pins and needles at Johnny's house. And a lot of times that's why you'll see kids that will kind of latch on to other people's houses and people's families, because they don't have that at home. They don't have the dinner, they don't have the popcorn and movie night, they don't have game night, they don't do those kinds of things. And so you will see those children clinging on to normalcy, and then as they get older, they start to question, why isn't my family normal? Why are you guys not acting like regular people? Right, like we can all get that vibe and that feeling. Also, he hope he doesn't get her triggered by her looking like Faith. Oh my goodness, I know. I know. Faith looking just like her mom. Well, and we all know that he doesn't like that, her ethnicity, which is so weird to me, you know? Um, that's right, blessed. Oh my goodness. I've been very happy with the way that Florida has handled the situations legally that I've had to deal with Chris Proudfoot's minions. Um, So yeah, very happy, very happy. They don't play here. And anybody that wants to jump on the bandwagon will also get served paperwork as well. And they know that. At least they're smart enough to understand that part. They won't take the L properly, and they'll never admit. They'll throw money at it, but really, again, it's a major ego issue in my opinion. Mom Bear says, I wonder if there's body cam from LE who were in the back of the station when Bowersock's gang, had to give Faith back that terrorized her and chased her on the freeway, going home with her. Yeah, and that's another thing that they allowed, Mama Bear. That's a great point. You know? Yeah. They honestly, they allowed for all of that. and she's sitting there banging on the door with her children. That, I mean, it's sick. It's sick. Hey, Sammy. And the way they threaten the PI. Yeah, exactly. Katie, don't come up on my property. Okay, Katie. She's trying to help you find your son, ungrateful twit, in my opinion. In my humble opinion, or my honest opinion, the best part of BHB getting out of the vehicle to confront TB was that she was wearing her shirt with CP's cartoon face that said something like Crystal Clear. Oh my God, that's funny. That is funny. Oh my gosh, I forgot about that part, Nani. That's funny. Thank you for reminding Mama Marissa. Thank you for reminding me. That is too funny. Oh my god. Oh my gosh. I don't even know. Yeah, I remember. I don't know who made those shirts, but that was funny. That was really funny. Did you get the sense CP was a little terrified in the latest rant? Silver, you didn't know it was me, except that he sat on his live. Oh, CP and KP are behind me, and I got I got his VIN. I didn't know, Sammy, I didn't know if Silver's like knew that he was behind, but you guys were telling me that he like it was in Silver's live where he was like, "Oh, they're behind me." So for Chris to say that, I don't know. I think he's just again, it goes over his head. His ego won't allow for him to believe the truth or anything like that. He wants they don't know how to take the L, right? And they've had a lot of, L's, right, in this situation because everybody's seeing right through it. But I do want to go over there and clip that when I play that part. So that way everybody can see that Chris is a liar, right? So yeah, I'm gonna have to look for that. If you guys have that clip or if you guys even have the live stream um where that occurs, please send it to me so I can bust out Chris because that would be great. Again, we don't all have to agree um you know on issues, right? Or whatever, theories, anything. We don't have to agree on things. But at the end of the day, Silvers was there trying to gather information in order to find Sebastian, right? So why would his parents, stepfoot, be upset about that? Right? Because everything is going to lead back to them and they don't want that. In my opinion, that's the reason. So yeah, I please, if you guys have that, I would love to have that. Oh, 6:32 a.m. Thank you, mama. And like I said, I probably this one's at 6:32. So this was when she came back into the neighborhood. Interesting. Thank you for that cuz I guess I might have cropped it out. I might have cropped out the timestamp. This one I kept in there um because of the bus. Because I remember there was two buses. Sebastian's bus picked up at 7, but this one picked up at 6:20. Well, that morning it did at least. Thank you so much. Snarky Lady Freedom. Oh my goodness, it's terrible. Yeah, I do too. She puts on a really good show. She does. And I'm always usually on the replay. That's the only thing I need to go in there and say replay with a heart or something. I did that with Kiki's live the other day too. Can you imagine getting chopped in the neck with at the time by these people? Oh my gosh, I can't even. I mean, look, I don't see what the big deal is about going in the neighborhood, but it's a hot button issue. Let me tell you. I believe Chris had Sebastian scared to death. Can you just imagine how Chris spoke to Sebastian? Oh, I know. Oh, I know. And especially with him calling Mob Crew Bubba. That was really weird. Like, that was something that is kind of chilling, right? Um, especially the way that he was talking down to him, right? And again, this is a person who's just trying to find Sebastian. So why would you be angry about something like that? Like, why would you ever, why would that be an issue for you? Unless you're afraid that it's going to come back and blow back on you, you know? Dr. Mercado said people who abuse animals at their young age, they will abuse children when they get older, allegedly. I believe that, Faye. I mean, and even look at Jeffrey Dahmer, you know? He was out there playing with the fiddlesticks, and that was the bones of animals. It's gross. It will never be their property. It's the crime scene Sebastian went missing from. Yeah, and that's the thing. And the neighborhood footage is the biggest indicator that Sebastian didn't just walk off on his own, because he would have been caught on camera, you know? So, oh, thank you, Sammy. That's great. That's great. Kiki and I were talking about, so a while back I shared a it was an article, but there was another channel on YouTube about 5 days ago that Kiki sent me over, and it was actually a video. And what the article was referencing was Sumner County Sheriff's Office beating a young man with schizoaffective disorder in his own living room when his family called for help. And they, in the video, beat this young man in front of his family. I mean, I'm telling you guys, when I'm saying he's wailing, punching this young man, I mean to tell you, and I couldn't believe she found the clip, Mama. I was like, oh my gosh, Kiki, good job, and I'm like, because she's like, did you ever hear about this? And I was like, yeah, I talked about it, but I didn't have the footage. I only had the article. And then there was the footage. I mean, it made me so sick at my stomach, you know? Oh, that's right, at the yard sale. Oh my gosh, so that was a long time ago. That was a long time ago, Mama. Okay, yeah. Wow. Wow. Oh yeah, I love Kiki. She's my dear friend. She is a dear friend of mine. Um, you know, and like I said, when she showed that, I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's it." Cuz like when she was describing it to me, I'm like, "Oh yeah, I've talked about that." But I never saw the footage. So 5 days ago it was another creator, and he had put out two separate instances where the same officer uh, used brutal force, right? He actually told the subject that he was going to tase him in the face. And the first thing that they are taught when they are given tasers is to never hit certain areas, right? Like somebody, like their face, like their crotchal region, right? Things like that, right? Sensitive areas. There are certain, spots that you're supposed to, shoot for lack of a better way of saying it, in order to not, they're using it to disable the subject, not to, hurt them. So very, very interesting. Um, so yeah, it's just, it said it was still ongoing. Yeah. But he was also given an award by the Sumner County Sheriff's Office, because he's a top-notch guy who uses brute force on mentally ill people, right? Or maybe people of color, in my opinion, because the other person was a person of color, and that could have been the motivation. I don't know. There's no telling. Hate has no limits. They could just be rotten with power too, and not understand that with that power comes responsibility, accountability, and holding yourself to a higher standard than just, say, a regular person like me, or any of us that are not, law enforcement officers. They let that badge go to their head. Katie's driving through the neighborhood pretending to look for her son with the grand finale act from their rehearsed practicing lines and all, premeditated getting rid of Sebastian, in my opinion. You know, I mean, they had to have taken him somewhere, whether it happened on the way home from Texas Roadhouse at 3 a.m., in my opinion, or quite possibly in the morning. I mean, if Sebastian made it home, those would be my top two theories, the 3 a.m. lights or the morning of. Knowing that Kathy Bowersox allegedly was waiting at Worsham's, um, says a lot to me. Yeah, that's number one, not to, not to shoot for someone's face with a taser. Um, those things are powerful. Hey, Deanna D, good to see you. He's angry because he's not normal, in my opinion. CC bingo. you know? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and the thing is, Faye, I think that they're very worried about Betty, and that's because she's not afraid of them, right? They work off of people's fear of them. They can feel it, right? And they like it, and so they exploit that. If you look right at them and say, "I'm not afraid of you," they're cowards. They're going to cower down for that. You know. How dare CP make fun of a hardworking detective and try to make him look bad? And he's not friends with that guy. CP, hell no, never. No, I don't think so either. And if I was Carter, I would come out and say that. I would have come out and debunked that right away. I would have said, no matter what Mr. Proudfoot tells you, I have integrity, and I would never jeopardize my position and my hard work and my efforts for that piece of crap human who probably took Sebastian and did something and took him to a school or what have you. But they're also, I really need them to step up. I need Carter to step up. I need him to come out and say, I'm not friends with CP. That would dispel so many rumors, and that would get Mr. Proudfoot into a tizzy, so to speak. Right? But they need to stop worrying about how it makes Chris and Katie feel and wonder how Sebastian feels. Because when you see this child on his birthday being bullied by the adults in the room, that speaks volumes to me. And there's no police officer on earth that should be okay with that. But then again, the sheriff thinks that rape is a strong word and he prefers snuggle struggle. So, when you have snug strugs at the helm, that's a big issue in my opinion. I want to show you guys this before I hop off. This is a young lady who is, I have to pull the window up first. This is a young lady who our friend Shauna had asked me to share her flyer, so I made a quick video. The song that I put over on TikTok was really, really pretty, but they have different rules when it comes to copyrighted music, and you can put some of that copyrighted music in on TikTok. Let me share this with you too. Hold on. We'll go here really quick, and I want to show you this really, really fast. Because I do have to get off and make some dinner, eat some dinner. Okay. I called him a sick ass bastard. Okay, so in my opinion, can you guys see this? Okay, great. So this is little RJ. Little RJ was found by the United Cajun Navy. Huge shout out. Much love to them. This is from Crime Lines and Lies Brooks page. The stepfather of Ryan, RJ Davis, has been hospitalized. OSBI is investigating where he got this sheet and bucket. Yeah, where did he get that sheet and bucket from? Are those, allowed in the cells in Oklahoma? I don't know. Missing in Oklahoma, boy update. The Cato County District Attorney's Office says that the stepfather of missing Oklahoma boy, who was finally found alive yesterday, tried to take his own life in jail today. George Cole was charged with child abuse and child sexual abuse today. And when he was returned to Cato County Jail, he attempted suicide, right? As of 3 p.m., he is in the hospital. Well, look at him. Please remember this. This is a violent crime that went on for years. Taking up for pedos isn't tolerated. Love y'all. No, it's not. Thanks, Brooks, for not tolerating that disgusting crap. Look at this young man. Look at this young man, guys. And look at these two freaks of nature. They're right where they need to be. Right where they need to be. Oh, this is my lady. She is so funny. Oh my gosh. Okay, so um that's that. I also want to read this by Smiley. I meant to read this too the other day. Ryan Davis, RJ, has been found safe, and that is a true, true miracle. For that, I am deeply grateful. I am nobody special. Yes, you are, Smiley. You're special to us. Just a concerned citizen, a mother, and a human being. But I'm personally asking you to do everything you promised that young 12-year-old boy in front of the world and in front of God. We saw you, we heard you. Now I ask you respectfully and firmly to step up and stand by your word. Please never, ever allow Ryan to be sent back to the place he came from or to the people who failed him. Not now and not ever. That child deserves safety, protection, and future free from fear. What you promised mattered to him, to the public, and to every person who prayed for his life. Thank you for helping bring him to safety. Please continue to do what you can for Ryan with sincerity and hope. Smiley, right? And this is that little boy, guys. Never deserved that from his mother and his stepfather. Never, ever, ever. Um, I thought I had something from Justin on here. Maybe I meant to post it and I didn't. Okay, so then I also want to show you guys, but really well said by, two creators that work hard at it and who really care. Now I want to show you guys this short for Haley. And this is Haley here. And I just want to read out the description. Sorry, guys. Oh, I have it again. Hold on. We'll just wait. Okay, so 3 Hamilton County teenage girls have gone missing since the year's start, right? So we're 13 days into this new year. 17-year-old Hamilton Southeastern High School student who has been missing since the beginning of the year may be in a dangerous situation, her family said. Okay, Haley Busby is listed as a runaway by the Fishers Police Department. Her parents last saw her at 10 p.m. on January 5th, and her father, Bo Busby, told Indy Star he thinks she left her home in the enclave at Vermilion neighborhood in the early hours of January 6th. A Fisher's family is looking for their 17-year-old daughter, Haley Busby, who has been missing since about 10 p.m. January 5th. Haley Busby was last seen January 5th at the Enclave in Fishers, and this is from the Fishers Police Department. According to Fishers Police Department, Busby was last seen wearing a white blouse, gray jeans, and a black puffer jacket in the Enclave at Vermilion neighborhood in Fishers. Police say she is believed to have run away from home. And she's just beautiful. In a January 12th social media post, her father, Bo Busby, wrote that Haley was still missing. Quote, "We believe she didn't act alone and is in a dangerous situation," he wrote, noting that it's critical to raise awareness through social media and other avenues. There are a tremendous amount of actions being taken in coordination. It's great to hear that all of the support was working together for Haley. Bo Busby wrote that thousands of flyers have been distributed and uh, posted across the city, state, and country. He thanked businesses and residents for posting the flyers and spreading the information. Absolutely. The foot soldiers on the ground shared several examples of meeting others who had awareness about Haley, he wrote. This love and support continues to give us hope and needed strength during this time. A GoFundMe has been established to help pay for expenses related to the search. Those efforts include flyers, professional assistance, travel expenses. Any donations not used in the effort will be donated to organizations that help find missing children. Now, that's the spirit, right? You have overages and donations, you put it to good use. That's the way to do it, in my opinion. And thank God that people were donating and not harassing this father for doing a GoFundMe, unlike the Proud Feet with Seth. And they did raise $16,000, guys, and there is still an active GoFundMe. Now, again, Haley is 17. She's 5'3", so she's a shorty. You know, January 5th, 2026, around 10 p.m. in the Enclave of Vermilion neighborhood in Fishers, Indiana. Again, wearing a white blouse, gray jeans, and a black puffer jacket. 317-773-1282 or dial 911. You can also scan that QR code. And again, this one says that a little bit different. I wanted to point this out. Haley was also said to have been carrying a pink Vera Bradley duffel bag, right? A duffel bag, not a purse, right? Not a cute little Michael Kors or, not a little bag, handbag. She had a duffel bag, a pink one. And again, here's another picture, curly hair, really pretty girl. So sad. I hope that she knows that her family loves her and is looking for her. Haley, if you are seeing this, please call home. Your family loves you and they are looking for you. If you have any information or see Haley Busby, call 911 immediately, please. Again, here's her information and some pictures. And there's her looking right here. And then she's got bracelet in this picture. So, different pictures of her. We're praying for Haley Busby's safe return. And of course, as always, thank you for watching. So yeah, that's the newest, Oh, great. Thank you, Sammy. Oh, that's fantastic. I so appreciate that. I just want to put that in. I just got to get that in there so everybody knows. You know, yeah, absolutely. And yeah, we'll make sure to do something, guys. This time is going to be just like last time. We just have to really be careful of publicly noting where we're going to be and things like that because you already have the trolls of YouTube documenting that information. So we just really need to be careful and mindful that we want to stay safe while we're there. It's important, it's very important, but yeah, we'll be getting together. I'll be letting you guys know. Also, if you join memberships, you guys can get into the Discord. The only thing is when you get in there, you're going to be asked a question about who you are on YouTube, so we can verify information, and so we make sure that we keep people out that don't belong in there. We've already had a person in there that didn't belong, and we got them out quickly. And that's just what we have to do to keep everybody safe in there, and to keep things respectful and moving nicely. But that's where we'll probably be doing a lot of the planning for the event, right? Privately. So nobody will know our whereabouts, you know. So I think that's important. Um, and then also, if you join the memberships, you will be invited to the members only live where we're going to do trivia and you guys are going to have a chance to enter and to win something special from the voices, excuse me, the Gathering of Voices. I almost said the Voices of Truth, the Gathering of Voices event, right? So I'll make sure to do a special little gift bag like I did when I went for Pigfest, and we'll have a great time doing the um, trivia. It'll be fun. It's not going to be related to true crime necessarily. We might throw a couple of little zingers in there, but other than that, it's going to be just something fun, and you guys can feel like you're helping me you know, get some crowdfunding for the trip, but then also you guys are going to get something out of it. um and I also see that Little Miss Sharon gifted 5 Lady Freedoms Raw Narratives membership. So thank you, Little Miss Sharon. That's so sweet of you. Thank you very much for always supporting the channel. And if you got a membership, please say thank you to Little Miss Sharon and welcome to the Dragon Tribe. And make sure you guys go to that members only link and get linked up in the Discord, especially if we're going to go if you guys are all planning on going to Hendersonville, that way we can stay, you know, on top of everything and communicate and things like that in a safe environment. Um, all right, guys. Well, I will see you guys again at about 11:30 tonight. I'm going to be getting that clip Sammy sent. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. And we'll, you know, keep trucking along in order to um, you know, bring awareness to what's going on. Oh, great. I know, Deanna. I know it's so tough. I know. I know. And I'm like that too. Just um let me see really quick if I have any more memberships to give out while we're in here. I don't think I do. Hold on a second. Um, let's see. If I find it. Um, Give me 1 second. Oh, there we are. Okay. Hold on. Because I'll have to go into the chat and see. Oh, thank you, Mama Rissa. Thank you so much. I love you too. You guys are so great. You guys are fantastic. Oh, this is okay. So this is where I can do a poll. All right, hold on. I just found that again. I'm like, okie dokie. Now where's the live chat? Did I do something? Hold on. Oh, that's me. All right, hold on 1 sec. Okay, I did already do the ones for the month. I did already do those for the month. Maybe I could do some on like Friday or something. Um yeah, cuz it said nicely done. Okay, so I already did that. But yeah, maybe we'll do something like that too, cuz I know a lot of you guys want to be a part of it, and it is. It's tight, especially after the holidays and things like that. So aw, thank you. Thank you, Faye. I will. I will. You know, I don't fear anybody but the Lord himself, and you know, um I think it's going to be a positive thing. We're going to make sure. Um yeah, thank you, Joe. Hey, Joe. So aw, thank you, Bless, for gifting a Lady Freedom's Raw Narratives membership. Oh, if you got a membership, make sure you say thank you to Blessed and welcome to the Dragon Tribe. Hashtag Huckleberry. Thank you. Aw, that's so sweet. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Chuchi. I know. I hope I have the iPhone link too. It should be the iPhone link because I have an iPhone, you know. My birthday curse broke me. Aw. Oh, there's also some carpool coordination happening. People who are looking for riders in a few states. If folks are looking for rides, BHB asked them to email. Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Oh, see, so I shouldn't have missed BHB's live. I should go back and watch. Well, and I texted her too the other day. So, let me go over and look. Thank you, Sammy. I appreciate that. Yeah, so if people want to coordinate rides and stuff like that. Um, yeah, because I mean, I will have some extra space, obviously, because I'm riding solo. So yeah. Yeah, that would be great, Sammy. That would be fantastic. Yeah. Yeah, I just want to keep it safe, because these people are absolutely psychotic, right? And then they have you know, the it's my town factor, right? And we're just going there to raise awareness for Sebastian. Just like anybody else would. It's very normal. What they're doing is abnormal. What we're doing is normal, in my opinion. So yeah, I just want to keep everybody safe. And the last time I went, I just met the best bunch of ladies that I could ever meet. And Jeff. No, I'm just kidding. But not really kidding. And it was just nice to be there to support Seth and his cause for finding his son. Um so yeah, absolutely. Yes, thank you, Chuchi. All right, you guys, I will see you in a little bit. Thank you all so very, very much, and I will be back with you soon. I'm just gonna go ahead and play this um little outro. Give me a second, let me pull it up. And this is gonna be hold on one second. No, it's not in my shorts. I did a video on that one. I'm just gonna play this video as we go out, just in case you guys didn't get to see. And this is part of what was said on Queen Bee about Sebastian.
I did hear allegedly, I don't know if there's truth to any of this, but I guess somebody posted a flyer about something on February 26th coming up this year. Betty might be here for something. Who knows?
That's what she said.
Well, good for her, I guess,
I think they're, what was it, protesting at the sheriff's office or something?
Again? Okay.
I swear that's what. Am I crazy? I might be crazy.
I wish they would put half that energy into something legitimately productive to help.
Yeah, standing outside a sheriff's office with a microphone is not going to do anything. We still there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Did you forget it was my heart you were playing with? You made the rules to your own game. So your heart of ice, so I brought fire. To learn it all just burns the same. Burns the same. Never forget whose heart you are playing with. No more rules to your game. Half gate. Build a house of cards and play with fire.
My son is missing. He is not dead.
Enough.
Nobody's been arrested. And my son hasn't been found.
That's why he's standing outside the Sumner County Sheriff's Office.
Look at that window so I can see him if they come out.
Joined by other supporters.
I am part of Team Sebastian. I just want answers. The community deserves to have answers. I think about Sebastian every single day, and it has gone on for way too long now. When we reached the 1 year anniversary, I couldn't believe it. And the fact that we're almost 2 years into it is so sad.
Those outside the office hope that by showing up, they can bring more attention to Sebastian's case and find any information that may lead to him.
I've never lost hope. My son is missing. He is not dead. I want my son found. Tell us what you're doing to find him. We need answers.
Do you think of me? Now the flames turn cold and the fight is over. What do you think it means when these memories come as the winds turn colder? Do you think of me? Now the flames turn cold and the fight is over. Do you think of me when these memories come as the winds turn colder? Do you think of me?
Sheriff Braddock, where's my son? Why has my son not been found after a year and a half? What are you doing to locate and find my son? Because I know that you haven't accepted any assistance from anybody, so that must mean that you got this under wraps. Well, what's under wraps? Because my son's not at my house. My son's not at school right now. I don't get to take my son hunting or fishing. I don't get to play video games with him. I don't get to play cards. I don't get to watch movies. I get nothing while you're up there in your office. Where is Sebastian?
I contemplate, but the rooms are mine. This is not my home. I don't belong here anymore. This is not my home. I'll listen to my heart telling me it's time to telling me it's time. This is